slider. Comes home. Struck him out. The Marlins have their first no-hitter in history. Got him looking. It's a no-hitter. Kevin Brown is being mobbed. The second no-hitter in Marlin history.
A.J. Burnett is 3 strikes away from a no-hitter. That's a no-hitter! A.J. Burnett has thrown the no-hitter on May 12, 2000. Ground ball. This might do it. Hanley to first. He did it! He did it! Anibal Sanchez! He got him! Struck him out! 9 no-hit innings, but no no-hitter yet. Out of 9. A no-hitter in the bounce. Dodge, check swing, it gets away. Here comes Stanton. It's a no-hitter. Henderson Alvarez. Miami wins it.
And of course, that magical moment came in Miami at Marlins Park on the last day of 2013. This is 2014, and it certainly is a different year. The Marlins are 2-0, Game 3 against the Rockies. Hi, everybody. Rich Waltz along with Tommy Hutton. We were there for that, and certainly it came out of nowhere. And here are the Marlins going into Game 3, Tommy. Their 2 starting pitchers have given up a total of 3 runs in 2 games. And their number 3 guy, the last time he was on this mound, threw a no-hitter.
Interesting, last year, Henderson Alvarez started the year on the disabled list. He had shoulder inflammation. He ended the year with a no-hitter. He had that nasty sinker working. Last year, he only gave up 2 home runs in over 100 innings. So look for the good sinker and breaking ball tonight.
And Alvarez, of course, in this one, we knew he had no-hit stuff. He had the no-hitter, but the Marlins didn't have a run. He thought he had the no-hitter at that point.
He raised both arms in the air, and he goes, hey, okay, the game's over. I got a no-hitter. And then he said, wait a minute, there's no score. He went into the dugout. He was in the on-deck circle when that winning run scored. It was a magnificent day.
And he's healthy. He had a nice spring, and he gets the start tonight. Our Chevron starters, Jordan Lyles didn't make the team coming out of spring training, but with an injury, all of a sudden, he gets the start tonight.
Gets the start tonight. Last year, he was with the Astros, and, of course, you see the numbers for Alvarez. Hey, let's go at it again tonight.
Now, here we go. Henderson Alvarez takes the mound. The Marlins bats have been rolling. We'll check in with Jeff Conine on the Marlin bats. It's the Marlins and the Rockies. Game 3 of 4. Marlins and Rockies, Game 3. The Fish have taken the first two. Sunset in Miami. Gorgeous. So let's head out to center field. The same words have been said of Craig Minervini and Jeff Conine.
Well, thank you very much, Rich. A little breezy out here as well tonight, and it should be fun. Great weather, as you mentioned, for the ball game tonight. All right, 2 games, not a season to make, but good start for the Marlins. What has impressed you maybe that you didn't expect so far?
Well, one thing is the offense. I like the run scoring. I love the way they manufactured runs on only 5 hits yesterday, 4 runs. And you know what? The pitching to be expected is going to be strong. We saw what they were capable of last year, and this year is starting off just like they did last year. Still have to live up to the billing. They've done that so far, and then it's kind of a new reworked bullpen, too, and some different roles. Last night, very good job by them as well. Let's look at the offense compared. The Marlins were awful last year. You can't just say, Jeff, it was the Washington pitching when they scored 1 run the first 3 games, because they were that brutal all year offensively. Look at those numbers. I mean, this is just an absolutely offensive outburst. The first 2 games, 14 runs compared to 0 last year, 19 hits, 8 extra base hits. I love the runners in scoring position, which the Marlins were absolutely dreadful at last year. But like I said, they got a runner over last year. They've already had 2 sacrifice flies. It's a big offensive outburst for the Marlins, and a big problem last year, getting guys in from third base with less than 2 outs. Fernandez and Hand had bunts opening night. That was nice to see, moving a guy over like that. Yeah, tough on the pitching staff last year. They didn't get too many of those bunts down. All right, we got a lot coming up here. Game 3 of the series. Rich Waltz, Tommy Hutton getting all set to call it for you. Jeff and I will be here for the post game as well. Complete highlights and react. And the Marlins make it 3 for 3 here early in 2014. We'll find out next.
Baseball on Fox Sports Florida, brought to you by Toyota. Let's go places. By Checkers. Stop by your local Checkers on April 6th for a free cone with purchase. And by your South Florida Honda dealers and sfhondadealers.com. Marlins Park, Rockies and Marlins. First 2 belong to the Fish. Last night, Miami with a 1-run win, and here we go again. The Rockies look like this. Charlie Blackmon is in center field. Michael Kadyr's had a nice series. He's in right field. Carlos Gonzalez, Troy Tulowitzki, Justin Morneau, Nolan Arenado, Jordan Pacheco, DJ LeMahieu, and Jordan Lyles is the pitcher. He'll hit 9th. Henderson Alvarez, first start of 2014.
Henderson Alvarez, part of the youngest rotation in the major leagues. Alvarez just 23. and had a nice spring training. Anderson Alvarez, a 1.84 ERA in the spring. Missed one start. Remember early on he had an infection in his leg, and it kind of just passed him over one start. But other than that, he was tremendous, and he utilizes the defense when he has that good sinker going. There's a look at the defense. You'll see the change. Outfield, no changes. Yelich, Ozuna, Stanton. Second base tonight, Derek Dietrich playing against the right-hander, Jordan Lyles, his double-play partner. Danny Echeverria, McGee, and Jones at the corners, and Salty behind the plate.
Kind of a Starsky and Hutch feel to that defense there, Tommy Hutton. Pinch and Penny brings you the first pitch. Alvarez always with that dramatic windup to start a ball game, and here we go. A fastball is up. Charlie Blackmon, Michael Kadire, and Carlos Gonzalez for the Rockies. A powerful team. You look up and down this lineup. Kadire, batting champ, is in the 2 spot. Carlos Gonzalez, Troy Tulowitzki, Justin Morneau, former MVP at the Rockies, have run into Marlins starters that in 12 innings have given up just 3 runs, a walk, and struck out 15. Alvarez.
I bet you if you looked around the major leagues in those 2 starts, Jose Fernandez and Nathan Eovaldi, more pitches have been thrown over 95 miles an hour than any other duo.
You know, Alvarez was in that group, not at the very top of that group last year.
He's 95, 96 right now.
And he averaged, I believe it was just a shade under 94 last year for fastball velocity. Talking to a couple of scouts that saw him, including Jim Beattie, who is a scout with the Toronto Blue Jays, and of course Alvarez coming from Toronto. He said the one difference he saw with Alvarez last year compared to his 2012 was what you just noticed, and that was velocity. Much better velocity, and this one goes right back into right center field. Blackmon is on base, and the Rockies had their leadoff hitter aboard. Good speed with Blackmon on base now.
Yeah, with Blackmon's speed, you have to be real careful and aggressive in the outfield. That's headed toward the gap. Giancarlo gets over there quickly to cut it off, and then you have to get it in a hurry. Because a lot of runners, you see some runners this year, they'll try to go to second base.
Here is Kadire. How good is your lineup if Michael Kadire is your 2-hitter?
Pretty darn good.
And of course, Kadire coming off a terrific season. There's talk about extending him in Colorado. For Kadire, this is the last year of a 3-year, $31 million deal. Batting champ last year at .331 with a .389 on base and a .530 slugging percentage. 31 doubles, 20 homers. Of course, anytime a slugger goes into Colorado and jumps into a Rockies uniform, that slash line, that batting average on base and slugging gets a little bigger. Echeverria diving stop out there. Safe there. Oh, wow, what a play by Danny Echeverria. Dietrich with a quick turn, and Kadire just beat it at first base.
We talk so much how fast and how quick this infield is. Topspin on that ball, but speared by Echeverria. And how about the effort of Derek Dietrich trying to turn the double play? I didn't think he had a shot at all, and he makes it very close.
Well, that is close.
That's closer than I thought it was, seeing it from that angle.
You know, surprised that Mike Redmond didn't at least pop out of the dugout just to buy a little time for the folks down in the control room, the Marlins guys, to take a look at it. Once the next pitch is thrown, you can't review it. You know what? The phone is ringing. I think I just heard the dugout phone ring. And Redmond hasn't budged. They probably took as many looks at it as they can. There's Rob Leary. Pitch misses down low. That may have just been a call to say they got it right.
And a good job by Mike Estabrook, umpire at first base.
Yes. Mike DeMiro's behind the plate. Jerry Lane's at second. Hunter Wendelstadt's at third. Gonzalez has been dynamite in this series. He always seems to get off to great starts, and he hits well in this ballpark. Carlos Gonzalez, 7th year in the big leagues, 5th year in Colorado, and a big, long, sparkling resume.
Well, he's 3 for 7 to start the year.
Alvarez with a quick move, and the ball pops away. I don't know if it's short hop Jones or if he just didn't get it. Alvarez is a very good athlete on the mound and has a good quick move.
I believe Alvarez is going to be charged with the error, but let's see if it was catchable. That's a tough throw and right into the runner. You get your glove right down there, right as the runner's coming back. We saw Henderson pick off some base runners last year. He has a quick move, and it's the first error for the Marlins this year.
One pitch to Carlos Gonzalez. Hits it well, and that's into right center. The Rockies are on the board. Kadire turns around third, and he's in to score. And Carlos Gonzalez continues his hot start in 2014. He's 4 for 8 with 3 RBIs and a pair of doubles in the series.
Yeah, 3 extra base hits. Pitch was up, so after that base hit by Blackman, no hitter tonight. And again, this ball hit sharply. Good job by Ozuna, but he's so deep in right center, it's easy for Gonzalez, who has terrific speed, to get to second base.
This much like Coors Field in terms of dimensions, but the difference is the speed of ball. It'll get through this infield a lot quicker than it will in Denver. Big gaps, a lot of room in front of outfielders in both ballparks. Tulowitzki now 1 for 8 in the series with an RBI. Every preseason preview of the Colorado Rockies came with a disclaimer, and that disclaimer was the Rockies will be really good if they can get a full season out of Carlos Gonzalez and Troy Tulowitzki. Alvarez always around the plate. Gets a strike. It's 0-2.
Yeah, you saw that number for Carlos Gonzalez, 110 games last year. Tulowitzki, 126 in just 47 games the year before.
Alvarez misses up. It speaks to the struggles that the Marlins had last year when you look at the strong finish by both Eovaldi and Alvarez, and even Jacob Turner showed some signs late last year. Remember that last day of spring training, both Eovaldi and Alvarez put on the disabled list with the shoulder issues. Into center, that's a base hit. Ozuna got a good jump. Runner holds at third, and the throw, a beautiful one-hop throw from Ozuna. But the Rockies are knocking Alvarez around here in the first inning. 3 hits, a run is scored. They're at the corners for Morneau.
There are a few reasons why this was such a nice throw. That pretty good pitch. It was down. Ozuna charges the ball well, but he also keeps it in an area where it was low enough the runner thinks it could have been cut off. The runner who hit the ball, Tulowitzki, so he has to kind of stand pat.
Justin Morneau, another one of the expatriated Minnesota Twins. Kadire and Morneau find themselves here in Colorado. That one fouled back to the screen. Speaking of that, we were, at least I was today, doing some homework for the upcoming road trip. Jotting down Denard Span notes, thinking about Span and his home runs, and I thought to myself, I wonder if Ben Revere has homered yet. He didn't hit a homer Tuesday night. He hasn't hit a home run since 2011 when he was in AAA. He's not homered in the big leagues. He's one of the Phillies outfielders. His failure to hit a round tripper Tuesday night is now in the record book. 1,410 career plate appearances without a home run.
I think he celebrated with his Phillies teammates after that game.
A liner in the left, that's a base hit, and Morneau smacks in a run. Gonzalez scores. Well, Alvarez is around the plate, and the Rockies are all over him right now.
Yeah, you can watch the hitters to this point. He really hasn't fooled anybody. Pitches up. They're not trying to do too much. Morneau taking that ball the other way. He's gotten off to a hot start. He's 5 for 9 in this series.
Chuck Hernandez, Miami's pitching coach, certainly pleased with what he has seen from starters and relievers in games 1 and 2. And there's plenty of well-rested arms down in the bullpen tonight if Alvarez continues to go sideways here. Here's the first pitch to Arenado, the third baseman, for a strike.
There are a couple of arms down there, Rich, that have not unveiled themselves here in 2014. Dan Jennings and Kevin Slowey. Slowey, of course, can give you numerous innings, which he did one night in New York last year.
It would only be appropriate another ex-twin would come in, and Slowey.
Absolutely. Think about this inning. With one out, the only out recorded was a terrific play by Echeverria.
Arenado looking for his first hit, and he steps out. 0 for 7 so far in this series. Rockies have Jordan Pacheco behind the plate, and he's on deck. Pacheco giving Wilin Rosario the night off. That one is hammered to left field. That's a base hit. Yelich throws well, and his throw is cut off, and the bags are loaded. The Rockies aren't hitting it a long ways, but they're hitting it hard, and another look.
Well, you see the spin. A breaking ball just kind of backs up a little bit. Not that tight, sharp spin, and it also was up. So a lot of the plate Alvarez has been getting way too much, and the Rocky hitters are taking advantage of that. They're 4 for 4 tonight already with runners in scoring position. In the first 2 games, they were just 2 for 11.
And so Hernandez out there. What a different feel this is from the last time he was on that mound. The last time he was on that mound, he no-hit, of course, the Tigers on the last day of 2013. Tonight, he can't seem to get anybody out. Tonight, he's already given up 5 hits in the first 6 hitters he's faced. And it's Pacheco who comes up. Pacheco catching in this one. One of the stories that kind of slipped by a lot of people on opening night was Jorge De La Rosa, when he got to the dugout, had a meltdown. And he and Wilin Rosario reportedly were not on the same page. And there was frustration on both sides. De La Rosa yesterday, after the meltdown, said that he was mad at himself. He wasn't mad at Rosario, and we'll get it fixed. And a lot of it had to do with the system of signs they had with a runner at second base and the 10 runs the Marlins scored as well. The 0-1 to Pacheco now, and it's outside. Pacheco's an interesting guy, Tommy. You don't often see Major League catchers that came out of college as infielders, caught in the minors. He was a shortstop at New Mexico, University of.
Yeah, he can play third, he can play first.
And then got himself to the big leagues playing, as you noted, as an infielder. And then when the Rockies were in a pinch, they threw him behind the plate a few times, and he looked good enough that they decided he could be a Brandon Inge type guy, a guy that could catch and play the infield.
A couple of years ago, he played 82 games at third, 35 at first, and caught just 5 games.
That's a rare skill, the ability to play everyday positions and also jump in and catch. Up the middle into center field. That's a base hit. Scoring is Tulowitzki. Morneau will stop at third. Again, Ozuna got to it quickly, and this is getting alarming here as the Rockies have stretched their lead to 3-0.
Boy, another pitch up. You see Saltalamacchia reaching up about belt high and middle of the plate, center cut. And the Rockies aren't missing those pitches, and with that base hit, there has become a little movement in the Marlins bullpen.
We saw Henderson Alvarez make 17 starts, and most of the time he's got the good sinker going. He's got that power changeup. He's got none of that tonight. There's no movement. Everything's straight. A lot of things are up, and Kevin Slowey is up as well.
Well, last year for Henderson Alvarez, he had 17 starts, and 12 of those starts he went 6 or more innings.
There's a bouncer. That might get him out of the inning. Dietrich's turn in time. Got him. Well, with all the hits, 6 of them, to escape with 3 runs, it's 3-0. And Colorado has jumped to a 3-0 lead. Here come the Fish. Christian Yelich still in that leadoff spot with Rafael Furcal on the disabled list. Derek Dietrich, Giancarlo Stanton, Garrett Jones, Casey McGee. Jared Saltalamacchia, remember, had that great September as a Red Sox, and he carries it through here with the Marlins. Marcell Ozuna and Adeiny Echeverria both have swung the bat well in the first 2 games, and Henderson Alvarez will hit 9th.
You know, an interesting trade for the Rockies in their acquiring Jordan Lyles, who was with the Astros last year, had 25 starts with Houston. They also acquired Brandon Barnes, and they sent Dexter Fowler, their center fielder, to Houston. So Lyles, as you mentioned earlier, getting an opportunity because of an injury to start this game tonight. Had a decent spring and has a pretty good curveball, too.
Rockies used the money they saved on Fowler's long-term contract to sign Morneau and some pitching. Here's Yelich with Dietrich and Stanton behind, and Lyles misses in. First start as a Rocky for Lyles, and for Yelich, it's his first start this year against a right-hander, and Lyles fits that bill. 23-year-old out of Hartsville, South Carolina. First round pick of the Astros in 2008. Chopper, Tulowitzki behind the bag, throws him out. Yelich has had a lot of ground balls to Tulowitzki in this series. Rockies very good defensively, especially on the infield.
Yeah, let's see how it shapes up. Carlos Gonzalez, Blackman in center, Kadire in right. No change over on the left side. Arenado and Tulowitzki, LeMahieu and Morneau. Only change behind the plate, Jordan Pacheco. So Jordans make up the battery. Jordan Lyles and Jordan Pacheco.
Derek Dietrich's first start of 2014. A terrific spring. And, of course, it ended. There's a liner down the left field line, and Dietrich got a fair ball into the corner on his way to second. Dietrich had the team made a dynamite spring, and he got hit in the nose in the last week with a ground ball. He played with a mask the last week of spring training.
Well, that's a nice inside-out swing on a breaking ball. He didn't roll over on it and try to pull that. That's a beautiful swing. If he stays right there with that swing, we saw the power from him last year, but he needs to have more of this, and that's beauty.
There was one voice in his ear the time he showed up for spring training talking about just what you saw, Tommy, and that was Frank Menachino, Marlins hitting coach.
A lot of left-handed hitters on that kind of rolling breaking ball will get out in front, roll over on it, and pull it to the right side. He stayed back and had a nice swing.
And Frank Menachino will join us in the fourth inning. Marlins trying to get one of those runs back. They've got Giancarlo Stanton up, Garrett Jones to follow. Lyles has started Stanton with a strike. And Stanton swings and misses. The count's 0-2. Last season, 116 games. He wasn't pitched to a whole lot. He wasn't healthy early. And he swings and misses and strikes out. And so Lyles gets Stanton on 3 pitches. What you got on Jordan Lyles?
Well, we should go and ask Giancarlo Stanton right now. Made some good pitches to him. But here it is. Fastball has some sink. He threw a good one in on the hands to tie up Stanton to strike him out. Curveball's a good one. It's a tight one. He doesn't like to waste too much time. He likes to get it and throw it.
Jones takes a strike. Garrett Jones 1 for 7 so far this season. And he finally gets to face a right-hander. A pair of lefties starting the season for the Rockies. But Jones, who didn't see a lot of lefties last year, got both starts. And he takes in, he flip-flops with Casey McGee. McGee has hit cleanup against the lefties. McGee is 5th in this batting order.
Of course, last year when Morneau came over to the Pirates, it took some playing time away from Garrett Jones. Notice this year the Pirates are using Travis Ishikawa and Gabby Sanchez at the first base position.
To 1 pitch misses outside. Marlins will finish up tomorrow. It's a 12:40 start against the Rockies, and then San Diego comes to town. The Padres for a 3-game set. Padres tonight take on the Dodgers. Padres are 1-1 on the season. The Dodgers are 3-1 with the wins that they had against Arizona in Australia.
The Padres got Puig last night. Yasiel Puig hit a mammoth home run in San Diego at Petco.
Jones fouls it back.
Hey, Rich, how about the you can give me some information on this. How about the rainout in Oakland last night?
Very rare.
I think it was 15, 16 years last time they'd had a rainout.
Very, very rare. As a small child, I was at a World Series game, Game 3 of the '72 World Series, and that was rained out. The only cloud in the entire Bay Area was over the Coliseum. There's a liner into center field, and the Marlins will get that run home. Dietrich will score, and Garrett Jones knocks in his first run of the season.
That in itself is a good sign, whether or not the Marlins continue to score in this inning or if they only score the 1 run. But the fact that after allowing 3, they come back and Jones takes care of a pitch that's up in the zone. That was where Henderson Alvarez left a lot of pitches in the first inning. But if this is the only run they get in this inning, it's a good sign to get back in the game.
Now Casey McGee. McGee, of course, grew up not necessarily in the San Francisco Bay Area, but a little bit south in Santa Cruz.
So he figured he'd be close and go to Fresno State.
A terrific baseball program, the Fresno State Bulldogs. Yesterday, I believe it was yesterday on Marlins Live, we had the Google Maps of his flight from Japan all the way to Miami. Miyagi Stadium, home of the Rakuten Golden Eagles, champions of the Japanese League for the very first time last year, their first Japan series, and they beat the dreaded Giants, who, I guess, when the Yankees were the Yankees, they are seen as the Yankees of Japanese baseball.
I'm sure he'll be following Tanaka's plight as a pitcher over here.
Nothing but respect. Getting to watch Tanaka pitch last year, McGee couldn't say enough things about Tanaka. And I mean, when a guy goes 24-0 with a 1.27 ERA, 212 innings, 8 complete games, that's pretty good. And of course, McGee was really good as well, hitting, as you pointed out yesterday, behind Andrew Jones. A swing and a miss, and Lyles finishes off McGee, but the Marlins get one back, trail it 3-1. Marlins television tonight. Frank Menachino joins us in the fourth. Friday, Derek Dietrich mic'd up during batting practice. AJ Ramos will read promos. Jeff Conine lands in the booth.
Hey, it's a good landing too, because it's a Jose Fernandez game.
That is.
So you'd like to land with us
Saturday night. So make sure you're with us. Jordan Lyles leads it off. When the pitcher leads off in the second inning, that's always trouble. It means you've, as a pitcher, had a rough first, and it definitely was a rough first for Henderson Alvarez. He gave up 6 hits and 3 runs. DJ LeMahieu bounced into a double play to finish the inning, and that's a strikeout. First one of the ball game for Alvarez, who was not a big strikeout pitcher last year. He was a great ground ball pitcher and didn't walk a lot of people.
Yeah, 102 2/3 innings last year, just 57 strikeouts, only 27 walks, and as we mentioned before, he allowed just 2 home runs. So what he did in that first inning just wasn't characteristic of what he did for a good part of last year, and that's keep that heavy sinker down.
He had the great whip last year too. 1.14 was his walks and hits per innings pitched over 17 games. He looks a little more comfortable out there here in the second inning.
Well, I think the fact that the pitcher led the inning off and he struck him out with that breaking ball helped him out a little bit to maybe establish that pitch. Sometimes that's a good feeling when you get to work to that pitcher after you've had a rough inning.
That's a great point, because pitching coaches will tell you that for a guy like Alvarez that maybe doesn't have the feel of a certain pitch, you can throw it to the pitcher. You can experiment a little bit on that pitcher and try to zero in and reclaim the touch on a slider, or try to get a little more sink on the sinker,
which is an aspect American League pitchers don't get to do.
Charlie Blackmon started the first with a solid liner into right center field. All the hits that the Rockies had were hit hard ground balls, hard liners. Gonzalez was the only extra base hit, and his was a hard smash to the right of second baseman Derek Dietrich that scooted out in the outfield. Blackmon steps out. For the Rockies, Jhoulys Chacín, their ace, opening the season on the disabled list, and an injury, hamstring injury to Tyler Chatwood, forcing Lyles to make the start tonight. Alvarez steps on the bag and gets the second out of the inning. As we told you, tomorrow, the Marlins and the Rockies at 12:40. Seniors 55 and older can receive free tickets on Seniors Free Ticket Thursdays, presented by Wellmax Medical Centers. Groups can take advantage of the first business person special of the season. Go to Marlins.com. Today there's a good chance, too, Tommy, that with a day game and the temperature's not overwhelming, we got the roof open tomorrow.
Well, this year, so far, the first two games, Marlins 2-0 with the roof open. They've already won more games with the roof open than they did last year. Last year, the Marlins were 1-13 when the roof was open. So that wasn't a good sign.
Yeah, their record was awful under a lot of variables.
Yeah.
Well, one pitch misses down low. By the way, I'm looking up at the beautiful sky, and there you see the scoreboard. And I'm curious to know if any scoreboards around baseball will make the adjustment to put up a C as to whether there's a challenge remaining. You're starting to see that online on some of the scores. So far, we haven't seen it in the ballpark yet. 3-1, Rockies on top. Second in Miami, where the Marlins are 2-0, the Rockies 0-2 to open up this season. If you're watching the telecast from home, get on the internet, like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, keep you up to date, all the stats, scores, latest news. surrounding your favorite Florida teams. Jared Saltalamacchia takes a strike. Marcell Ozuna and Adeiny Echeverria for Miami against Jordan Lyles. Saltalamacchia got a breaking ball and got under it. Carlos Gonzalez. Not the easiest time to see. I was talking with Christian Yelich before the ball game, and he said that twilight here before night takes over with the roof open, not easy, because you're seeing the ball off the bat. It goes through the lights. It's in the roof a little bit, and then all of a sudden it's up into that sky, which isn't quite dark yet.
Hey, Rich, we had a tweet last night. We had a few of them actually asking us about Marlins' #1 pick, third baseman Colin Moran. And the minor league seasons will be opening up tomorrow. He was slated to begin the season in Jupiter, but I was talking with Director of Player Development Brian Chatton. And Chat told me that a little bit of a knee injury, nothing serious, but 2-3 weeks for Colin Moran before he gets underway for this season.
Marcell Ozuna up right now. Ozuna, a hot start. He's 4 for 7. Looked like a pretty good pitch from Lyles. Called the ball by Mike DeMuro. And the count's 2-1. Almost the same pitch. This time Ozuna goes after it. It's 2-2. Yeah, the pitch number 3 was the one that looked like a strike. And Fox tracks the same technology that the umpires used in terms of grading themselves and being graded by the umpire supervisors. And Ozuna strikes out. Lyles got in under his hands. Lyles doesn't throw overly hard, but that 90-mile-an-hour sinker or two-seamer that he just threw, a lot of movement, just a dive bomber in under the hands.
What he's been able to do, and he did it with Giancarlo Stanton as well, he'll show that breaking ball away. Remember the one he just missed with, and then the one that Ozuna chased. And that kind of set up that fastball that ran in. Here's the pitch before the fastball that ran in. So he's moving the ball around in and out pretty well.
And that's how he got to the big leagues early. He had command of his fastball, and he had that command on both sides of the plate, and that's a rarity for a young pitcher. So 3 years already in the big leagues with the Astros, and he's just 23.
Of course, the Astros lost over 100 games. It was tough, I'm sure, pitching for them. He was 7-9 last year, an ERA of 5.59. Pretty good athlete, though. Reading about Jordan Lyles, a terrific high school receiver in South Carolina.
Astros, by the way, opened their season last night, and it's odd still that they're in an American League city now, entertaining the Yankees, and they beat the Yankees 1-0. So Houston opens the season. They get a look at Hiroki Kuroda tonight in Houston, game 2 of that series.
Marlins will be in Houston for a weekend series in July.
Well hit. Tulowitzki knocks it down, fires to first, and makes the play. 1-2-3 go the Fish in the second. 3-1 Rockies. Tulo's coming up.
Marlins baseball. 3-1. We go to the top of the third inning. It was a key run in last night's game, a one-run game that is a little different this year than a year ago in terms of the interpretation. And it is our Geico quote of the day. We talked with Mike Redmond about it.
It just looked like, that looked like a normal play on any normal year where he was blocking the plate and was going to catch the ball and then tag the guy out because he would have slid right into him. So that would have definitely been, had he caught that ball, I would have gone out there and tried to get him to review it because he was definitely, in my opinion, was blocking the plate without the ball.
Garrett Jones scored on the play. Now, the collision, the potential collision, blocking the plate, you can't outright challenge that. That is at the discretion of the crew chief. But Mike Redmond could go out and make a case, and then the umpire would decide. Guys, it's very interesting. We're going to see plays all year long, and you wonder. I really think the advantage early on is going to go to the runner here. First of all, they've got to make the play on you to get you out. They didn't last night. If he makes the play and the catcher in the heat of the moment is trying to make the catch and worry about where he is and gets run over, in that case there, or slid into, the Marlins might have gotten the call here that, yes, he was blocking the plate without the ball. But had he caught the ball, we'll see, because maybe he would have had it that split second before the runner came in. Who knows? But interesting topic to talk about all year long.
And you're right, Craig. It's not a challengeable play, but it is a instant replay rule. The umpires would go to the replay to call it. Collision calls at home plate subject to unlimited review at the discretion of the crew chief. If it's reviewed by the crew chief, the safe out call automatically reviewed. Manager will not be charged with a challenge. Manager can challenge safe out call if the crew does not review collision. So if it's a swipe tag and there's a question as to whether he was safe or out, then you can challenge that. But if it's collision, that's not a challenge, but it is a replay review play, so to speak.
And I think you and I, and Craig, you may too, agree with Mike Redmond on what he thought was a little block of the plate, because you can see on that shot there was no lane at all to get to home plate, or as you put it out, there was a little bit. There was Jerry lane, but there was no lane for Garrett Jones to get to home plate.
Absolutely right. Now, there was a crazy play in last night's game, Arizona and San Francisco, where I think it was the top of the fifth, Bruce Bochy challenged a pickoff. San Francisco was in the field over at first base. He lost the challenge, although I thought the replay showed that indeed the runner was out going back to first, but he lost the challenge, and then they wound up scoring a run after that.
Long run, Yelich is there and makes the running catch all the way around second and re-tagging. Got him with a double play.
Love to see that nice replay.
Carlos Gonzalez was halfway to third base. He had to put it in reverse. He had to re-tag at second, and Yelich went a long way to start this double play.
Boy, the relay throw, it has to be perfect. Long way for Yelich. Bangs up against the wall. Now watch his throw to Echeverria, who turns and fires a strike back to Garrett Jones. You don't see many double plays that way. That was a nice one to see.
We've seen runners in a spot like that just cut across the infield. Liner, and Jones makes the catch. Boy, that happened quickly, didn't it? 3-1, Rockies. starts the 7-6-3 double play, leads, or at least comes to the plate. He's not going to lead it off. Alvarez is going to lead it off. But Yelich is all locked in. That was a wild finish for the Rockies in their half of the third. Gonzalez had walked. Tulowitzki hit a ball that looked like it was going out. Alvarez chopper, Tulowitzki around it, and the Gold Glover throws him out. And just like that, Marlins had the double play. Morneau lines out. Jose's Heroes. Have you heard about it? Well, you can join today. The most passionate and enthusiastic Marlin fans. Pick up the new Jose Heroes full season ticket plan. Just over $6 a game. And you get free Jose Heroes t-shirts, K-cards, and more. Secure your seats at marlins.com/Jose's Heroes. Now here's Yelich. Yelich is a very good outfielder, and sometimes he doesn't look like he has blazing speed, but he's faster than you think.
He's a guy too, Rich. We've talked about it. We talked about it a lot last year, whose arm has improved over the last few years with a lot of hard work in the outfield.
Well, that's because he's had to stretch it out. He was a first baseman growing up, and he might be a first baseman at some point in his big league career. But he gets good jumps, he has good angles, and is a very solid left fielder. Did not make an error last year in his 62 games. Dietrich's on deck, Jordan Lyles. And a bouncer to LeMahieu at second. 2 quick outs for the Fish here in the third. This copyrighted telecast, as always, presented by the authority of the Marlins. It may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. Counts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Miami Marlins. So, like if you're watching at home and someone asks you from the next room, how's the game going? Is that legal?
You have to get express written consent to give them an answer.
Or check the hopper.
I think you're in mid-season form with that read.
Hey, try to mix it up. We had a real short spring training, you and I. So my best stuff is coming out right now. We did extensive training, though. Dietrich doubled back in the first. And for Derek Dietrich, that first at bat really embodies what he did in the spring, the approach that he took in the spring. Certainly with for COL signing and Solano and Lucas, the chances of Derek Dietrich making the ball club were not very good. And he knew that, but he was excited. He was energized. He came into spring just with the attitude, I can't control what I can't control. All I can do is go out, let the game come to me, try to get good at bats. He really worked on his patience, trying to get that on-base percentage up, something that he's always done as a collegiate at Georgia Tech and as a minor leaguer coming up in the Rays organization. And lo and behold, he swung the bat well, and he flat out won a spot even before COL was placed on the disabled list.
Well, he hit .320, had a home run, had 10 RBIs in the spring.
Dietrich fouls back a fastball. Dietrich's double came in the first. The Marlins got their only run. With 2 outs, Garrett Jones, a line drive single to center. And that scored Dietrich. After the Rockies got 3 and jumped on Henderson Alvarez rudely in the top of the first.
No, we were talking about Jordan Lyles and his athletic ability as a wide receiver in high school. He committed to play college football, South Carolina. And he was going to play football, not baseball.
The old ball coach.
That's right. That's right. He'd have gotten a lot of passes too. That's who you want to play for if you're a quarterback or a wide receiver.
Wide receiver, he's a little tough on quarterbacks. But yeah, I mean, if you can stand the heat, it's a good place to be a quarterback.
But he was a first-round pick of the Astros and ended up going the route of baseball.
And it's fourth year in the big leagues already. Dietrich having a good at bat. 2-2 coming. A two-hopper that LeMahieu smothers. Jordan Lyles is cruising since that run in the first. Frank Menechino, new hitting coach, will join us when we return to Marlins Park. Marlins, it's the top of the fourth. One of the new additions to the Marlins this year, Frank Menechino, and he joins us now, Marlins hitting coach. Frank, welcome to the show.
Thanks a lot, guys. Thanks for having me.
Now, you took over a ball club that was historically bad offensively last year. What did you see when you watched tape in the offseason, and what was your goal when you first started spring training?
Well, after watching the video on these guys and seeing the stats and stuff, I figured, you know what, let me go down there, see what they do, and really talk about approach. You know, what are you looking for? What do you hit well? What don't you hit well? So once I attacked that with them and went over everything with them with that, you know, I just went from there. And a lot of guys bought into, hey, you know what, I really don't have a plan sometimes. So we just really worked on that.
And as we see the throw pulling Garrett Jones off the bag, Rockies with a runner on. Nolan Arenado is aboard. Here's a look at the play, Tommy.
This is one of the few times, Rich, that we see Echeverria with a little lackadaisical throw. Yeah, no, Perry Hill's not going to be happy with the footwork, with the arm slot, and all of that. And because of that, that's why he got to throw a little too high and pulled Jones off the bag.
Jordan Pacheco now comes up. So at what point of spring training did approach and all of that start to take hold? Was it early? Was it mid? Was it late?
Well, you know, I came down 2 weeks early and worked with some young guys, and then as soon as spring training started, as soon as we started doing our stuff on the field and in the cage, that's when I attacked it right away so we can get it done with and they would understand what I'm saying. And it went great. You know, guys took to it, and guys really started taking their approach into the first spring training at bats. And I told them, I said, don't wait till the last week. Let's start now. And it really went well.
Ground ball into left field. That's a base hit off the bat of Pacheco. And after the error by Echeverria, the Rockies are set up first and second. And nobody out here in the fourth. Frank Menechino, Marlins hitting coach, is with us. You and I had a conversation a couple days ago, Frank, before the opener, just about this ballpark and how it affects you as a hitting coach. What changes for you with this ballpark and this team? How does that affect your game plan?
you can't miss hit balls here. You gotta square them up and you gotta hit them hard. And I told these guys we need a line drive approach. We need to hit hard ground balls and line drives in the gap and keep that approach the whole time. And with that approach on the road, a lot of those balls that are hitting the wall that are in the gaps, they're probably going to go out in other ballparks. So basically we're backing the ball up, hitting line drives all over the field, and hitting hard ground balls.
Frank, the last 5 years you've been in the minor leagues in the Yankees organization as a hitting instructor. How did you kind of evolve as a hitting coach working with younger hitters in the minor leagues?
When I was done playing, I figured, you know what, I love hitting and I'm passionate about it, and I just done so many things wrong, and I made a lot of mistakes, and
we all.
And I talked to a lot of guys that hit well, and I used to just try to figure out what they did and everything that they, what makes them successful. So I just went with that, and working with the young kids is a lot of fun, because they're going to make mistakes, and the one thing you learn is they get it when they get it.
Safe at second base. Derek Dietrich slipped on the pivot, and the call by the second base umpire, Jerry Lane, was safe. Dietrich pointing that that's a play that they'll probably review. Rob Leary is on the phone, and the Marlins may come out and challenge this. They've got 30 seconds to confer with the coaches. Pat Shine is down there in the video room. You see Rob Leary, and you see the sign.
Yeah, go check
it first.
That's great communication right there.
And now that gives everybody a few extra seconds to look at all the different replay angles, all the camera feeds that are available to the umpiring group, which is in New York right now. If this is a challenge, that will be the group that will look at it. All of those feeds are available to both teams. It's either the ump who made the call or the crew chief, and in this case, it's both. Jerry Lane is the guy that made the call, and he is the crew chief.
And the answer, if in fact the challenge is there, when Jerry Lane goes over and puts the headsets on, it'll either be confirmed or the play will stand or it'll be overturned.
Now, stands is different than confirmed.
Stands means that there's no clear and convincing evidence to confirm or overturn, and that happens every once in a while.
All right, here's a couple looks. That's the gentleman that has the headset. They'll be on with New York. Here's our first peek at it. This is the game angle look. You see Dietrich slip. Etch dragged his foot across the bag. The question is, was it still on the bag when the ball hits glove? And it looks like it's tough.
That's a tough angle right there to tell.
Like, I guess the question is, the foot's over the bag, but is it on the bag? Now, in New York, all the feeds, all the angles from both the Rockies broadcast, from the Marlins broadcast, and some in-house cameras as well. There are 2 umpiring crews in New York in the command center.
And you can see this one's not an easy call. And it has to be conclusive. So all the 3 options there.
So this is the first time that the Marlins have challenged, and we'll see. Now, the umpires that are on the headset, they're not making the call. They're simply getting the call from New York. Here's another angle. You can't tell if it's on or off, but it's certainly over the bag when the ball is in the glove.
And Rich, we're happy to share this moment with Frank Menachino, who's on headsets with us.
Yeah, Frank, what did you see from your angle? You're right on the field.
I'm staring into the camera. I didn't see nothing.
Well, it's a process. Now, this is, because it's such a close call and a tough one to call, this one's taking longer than most will take.
And the umpiring crew, there's 2 umpiring crews that rotate through New York in the command center. They are able to enhance the shots, the replays. They can blow them up. They can enhance the video. Both teams have that same type of equipment at their availability in each of their clubhouses.
So a little bit of Marlins history taking place right now.
That's true. Well, of course, the Marlins had the first actual video review on the Frank Pulley call, and he's safe. And so the Marlins are going to lose the challenge. The Rockies have the bases loaded. There's no arguing at this point. A manager can't come out and kick dirt and throw a base. We're waiting to hear if it was confirmed or if it was stands, and confirmed means replay showed. Stands is inconclusive evidence. If I had to speculate, you never want to speculate, Tommy, I would go with stands. Just the views that we saw. Ball in the dirt, gets away, runner coming home. Saltalamakia's throw, safe at the plate.
Boy, it's been a sloppy inning.
And let's hope Alvarez is okay.
Yeah, he came in, got there right about the same time as the runner.
And you can see the hole in his pants. He may have caught a cleat on that leg. And if so, there's always a danger of a cut.
One thing we saw last year from Henderson Alvarez, he's a real good athlete. He hit 300. He had 9 hits. Feels his position very well. So a lot of pitchers wouldn't even get there that fast. He gets there, takes a little bit of the spikes. Arenado came in pretty good, but Alvarez appears to be okay.
Everything looks intact. An ugly inning getting uglier here. A pair of errors. And it started with a lackadaisical throw by Adeiny Echeverria on the ground ball by Nolan Arenado. That should have been out number 1.
That set the tone for the whole inning.
And then the throw by LeMahieu at second base. LeMahieu ball. Dietrich charged with an error on that one. So a run has scored, and Alvarez is all right. Let's get back to Frank Meneke. Poor Frank has been down there patiently waiting. We appreciate your patience. Okay, the hitters that you've seen and worked with, let's run through the lineup quickly. Give us 15, 20 seconds. Let's start with Yelich.
Yelich is real easy. You know, all you got to do is worry about his timing, make sure he gets that foot down, and, you know, let the ball travel. He likes to work out front a little bit, and that gets him in trouble.
Dietrich,
I took away the inside part of the plate from him. He naturally pulls the ball, and I just let him work middle away and concentrate on that. And if it's a ball inside he could hit, he'll hit it.
Stanton
strikes zone discipline. Look for a pitch to get and don't miss it.
Casey McGee
is a rhythm guy. He's got to keep his rhythm like Stanton. When Stanton keeps his rhythm, he's good. McGee's just like Stanton. Got to keep the rhythm and got to keep the foot down on time.
1-1 pitch coming. Runners second and third, infield in. Jordan Lyles, the pitcher, ball's in the dirt. Jared Saltalamakia.
As a lefty,
he's got to control his tempo to the ball. He can't get out there too fast. His feet can't get fast. It's got to be good rhythm and same effort level. Sometimes when he swings too hard, he gets in trouble.
And I know, as we've talked throughout spring training, as a righty, it's a little different story.
I'm fine with his righty swing.
I like that. Next question. Marcell Ozuna.
Plate discipline. Get a good pitch to hit. That guy's very talented, and he hits a lot of balls well. When the ball is up, he could hit it. He could hit balls out of strike zone. So for him, it's to have a plan and stick to it.
Counts 3-1. Echeverria trying to get the pitcher out, and he gets a strike that counts 3-2. Adeiny Echeverria.
Oh, Etch. You know, I made a couple adjustments to his hands, and he's really, you know, come a long way with that. And now he's freed up his hands, and he feels good.
Frank, that's like a PowerPoint presentation on all the Marlin hitters. That's terrific stuff.
Yeah, now everybody knows.
No. 3-2 pitch, just misses. Frank, thanks for the visit. Thanks for sticking around during the replay and all of that. And good luck as this season goes along. We'll check in with you later in the season.
Thanks a lot, guys.
Thanks, Frank.
He's all business, Tommy.
Yeah, that's good. That was great stuff, though, for viewers who just want to get a little insight to what a hitting coach, and in the case of Chuck Hernandez, a pitching coach, how they try to deal with each individual.
Well, a 4-1 ball game. It's still early, but Mike Rebin has seen enough of Henderson Alvarez. And Alvarez exits. Bags are loaded. Here comes Kevin Slowey. There's nobody out. The bags are loaded. A messy inning for Miami. A couple of infield errors. Danny Echeverria, Derek Dietrich, and the wild pitch also adding to the level of frustration for Mike Redmond. And so it's the top of the order. I mean, the Rockies are set up for a huge inning with Blackman, Kadire, and Gonzalez waiting to get their swings, and the bases filled with Rockies.
Kevin Slowey did just an outstanding job last year before he was injured toward the end of the season. But he's one of those guys that filled in early in the year with Alvarez and Nathan Eovaldi on the disabled list. And then once he got out of the rotation, he allowed Mike Redmond to have that guy in the bullpen who can give you a few innings.
First pitch is a strike. Charlie Blackmon has singled and bounced out. The Rockies 4 runs, 7 hits. Marlins have just 1 run, 2 hits, and 3 errors. Your runners, let's start with Jordan Pacheco. DJ LeMahieu, please welcome Jordan Lyles. The pitcher walking, and that's the last guy that Alvarez faces. 1-1.
Now remember, at one time, Kevin Slowey was a teammate of Mike Redmond's.
That pitch
was in there.
It was. It looked like Saltalamacchia was set up in, and the pitch was on the outside part. But Slowey didn't get the call. The 2-1.
Actually, Rich, Kevin Slowey in 2007 in AAA Rochester, also of the Twins organization, was a teammate of Garrett Jones.
And that misses away. And so Slowey comes in and walks in a run. And it's 5-1. Chuck Hernandez obviously not enjoying tonight as he did last night with Nathan Eovaldi, or the night previous with Jose Fernandez. And here's Kadire, and here's where the Rockies can crack it wide open with Kadire, Carlos Gonzalez, and Troy Tulowitzki all lined up. Slowey misses away, and Slowey having trouble finding the plate right now.
Which is something when he's getting used a little more and on his game, he usually has pretty good control with all of his pitches, not overpowering.
Not well hit. Center field. Ozuna's over and in and makes the catch. A run will score. Tagging and scoring is DJ LeMahieu. So 3 runs across. 6-1 Rockies on top. And here's Carlos Gonzalez.
So it took 6 hitters for the Marlins to record the first out in this inning.
Gonzalez continues a great tear. One of the things about Gonzalez, and I remember you traditionally have the discussion about Todd Helton and his numbers at Coors Field and his numbers on the road. Gonzalez's numbers on the road last year were terrific. In fact, his slash line, the batting average, on base, slugging, better on the road than at home, and that's almost unheard of for a Rockies slugger. You may take your pick from Rockies sluggers, from Vinny Castilla to Galarraga, Dante Bichette, Preston Wilson. Here's the 0-1. Pitch misses in. Helton. Ball and a strike. That one fouled back and out of play.
Yeah,
looked at the splits on all those hitters you mentioned, I guarantee they would be a little lopsided toward Coors Field. Did we throw in Larry Walker?
Larry Walker
in that group?
How about the ball games up in your old neck of the woods? Montreal, the Mets, and the Blue Jays finishing off spring with a couple games up at the Big O.
Well, they had over 45,000 on a Friday night. They had over 50,000 the next game.
Enthusiastic crowds.
Yeah, they were, and I can honestly remember when there were crowds like that in the late 70s, 78, 79, 80.
1-2 to Carlos Gonzalez. Tulowitzki's on deck. The Rockies have broken loose tonight. Miami got the first 2 games. Did it with pitching and timely hitting. A lot of hitting in the first game. Timely hitting last night. Tonight, Henderson Alvarez couldn't get anybody out in the first inning. Gave up 3 runs on 6 hits. And the Rockies have 3 more here in the 4th. Alvarez is gone. Kevin Slowey out of the bullpen. And is 1-2. Elevates a fastball, stays at 1-2.
Well, to put it simply, Alvarez was just not sharp. There is Nate Eovaldi. You know, you always sit with the guys who kind of throw as hard as you do. Talking it over with Jose.
That's why I'm sitting next to you.
That's right. Home plate umpire Mike DeMuro flinched a little bit. I thought he was going to lean up to call a 3rd strike, and he didn't.
Here's a look on Fox Tracks as well. It's where it crosses the front of the plate. Pitch 7, just off.
Maybe to a rookie. It's a called 3rd strike.
That is a strike. And Gonzalez must have been looking breaking ball or something away, because he backed up and it caught the corner. It's a big out to get for Slowey.
Well, good job by Kevin Slowey. A couple of different looks, different pitches, but he freezes him with a good fastball that catches the corner.
You know what?
Look at that.
I mean, if the circle is unbroken, or at least touches the outside of the strike zone, that's considered a strike.
As was number 7.
Well, Slowey not out of anything yet, because here's Tulowitzki, runners 1st and 2nd. This is the type of offense Rocky fans have come to expect and are expecting this year with this roster. And why not? With all the bats they've got.
It's a kind of lineup that just keeps putting pressure on a pitcher. You've got a lineup that has 2 guys who could win an MVP in Carlos Gonzalez and Tulowitzki. It's a lineup that has a guy that's won an MVP, Dustin Morneau, and Kadire won a batting title last year. So they just keep putting pressure on the pitcher.
And one of their best power bats isn't even in the lineup tonight, and that's their catcher, Willeen Rosario. And of course, they've got Walt Weiss, who didn't hit a lot of home runs in his career. Tulowitzki bails out of the way of that fastball that rides in. Tulowitzki and Weiss very close. When Tulowitzki arrived as a rookie, Weiss was I don't want to say guest instructor, but an infield instructor. And we saw him in uniform when the Marlins would go into Denver and the Rockies were home.
Of course, Walt Weiss, shortstop on the Marlins inaugural team in 1993.
That's a strike. Outside corner. Tulowitzki started to first. And you can see pitch 5, it was there.
And we mentioned it the other night, one of Walt's coaches down the bullpen, Rene Latchman, who was his manager in '93.
Who's done a little bit of everything.
Yeah, he has.
And done it well in this
Latch at one time was a bat boy for the Dodgers growing up in L.A.
3-2's out, and Tulowitzki walks. Bags are loaded. And a long inning gets longer, and now Slowey will face the 9th hitter to come to the plate in the inning. Morneau, who's hit the ball hard a couple times. He's singled and lined to first.
Yeah, the Latchman family has been very prominent in the game of baseball. Marcel Latchman, Renee's brother, longtime, not currently, but a longtime major league pitching coach and well-respected pitching coach.
Morneau with a count 1-0. And of course, these two guys, teammates in Minnesota. Slowey gets a strike, and it's 1-1. One and two.
That game as Slowey came in last year, as you check the base runners at Citi Field. Entered the game in the 13th inning and proceeded to pitch 7 shutout innings.
That was the game where there were 4 quality starts thrown. Ozuna runs it down, and a long inning comes to an end. Another 3 spot on the board for the Rockies, and a 6-1 lead in the 4th. As the Rockies in Miami lead the Marlins. We want you to tweet your best fan photo using the hashtag Marlins fan photo for a chance to have your photo shown in an upcoming broadcast brought to you by AT&T. Tommy Hutton today tweeted out a selfie. Yes, Tommy did. This is a ballpark selfie there. He may be doing a little film selfie, but
might have the video on.
You tweeted out a selfie. You were hard at work getting your photo taken with the Fox Sports Florida girls.
It was a tough afternoon.
I don't know that will show up next week when we show the best fan photos, courtesy of AT&T, but it might.
It just might.
It's hit the internet, and like wildfire, it's spreading.
It's everywhere.
Yeah, Stanton is up now. Giancarlo Stanton struck out in the first, and he did it with a runner at second and 1 out, and he did it on 3 pitches. And Lyles While some pitchers have avoided Stanton, went right after him. And he's done it again. He's out in front 0-2.
Remember last time 0-2, he ran that fastball in under his hands. Same thing.
When Frank Menachino says rhythm hitter, and Stanton is one of the guys he said is a rhythm hitter.
A lot of power hitters, big guys are like that.
How do you keep rhythm as a hitter?
It's a timing thing. It's hard to keep. You know, it's because it's different. The rhythm's different out there than it is in the batting cage.
Stan hits that one to center field. Back goes Blackman, and he's at the track and makes the catch. Well, Giancarlo got a lot of that. Hit it about 400 feet to center field.
Didn't quite sound like he hit it, as they say, on the screws. Little slider. See the spin? Kind of backed up a little bit. Not quite the area of the bat where he wanted to. It shows you how strong Stanton is. He still drove it a long way. By the way, all 3 runs last inning were unearned. Just a poor defensive inning for the Marlins.
Garrett Jones. A strike. His RBI single came in the first. That's the lone run right now for Miami on the bottom of a 6-1 ball game. Inside corner. We were talking earlier about the Nationals. The Marlins see the Nationals' first road trip. Gio Gonzalez, of course, the Hialeah kid, homered off of Bartolo Colon. And I believe Gio Gonzalez's first major league home run was against the Marlins, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was in Washington.
Yes.
Yeah, the Nats have a 3-1 lead over the Mets in the 5th inning. The Mets have just 1 hit off Gio.
Nat Gio. 2-2 to Jones, and he'll call timeout. What struck your interest in the first 2-3 days of the major league season? Is there a team that's caught your eye, a player, a trend?
I think one of the trends has been injuries. You know, Clayton Kershaw, it sounds like he's going to miss 2 or 3 more weeks, when the initial thought was that he was going to miss just the start. Bobby Parnell, Mets closer, partial ligament tear in his elbow.
Yeah, the Tommy John theme was started in spring training. Jones has another base hit, smacks that one into right field. And Casey McGee comes up with 1 out, 2 balls well hit against Lyles here in the 4th inning.
You know, the 2-time Tommy John theme, not a good one. Just recently, Brian Wilson with the Dodgers, who has had Tommy John surgery twice. And he's got nerve damage in his elbow.
And of course, the Braves suffered a pair of injuries. Speaking of Tommy John, and one of the guys that they've plugged into that rotation, Aaron Harang, threw 6 2/3 shutout innings against Matt Garza in Milwaukee, and the Braves with a 1-0 win in Milwaukee. Atlanta has opened the season winning 2 of 3, and the Brewers, of course, on the opposite side at 1 and 2.
Through 6 innings. That was a double no-hitter. Garza and Harang each had a no-hitter going through 6 innings.
Houston has scored first against the Yankees. Astros trying to get to 2-0. The Phillies opening in Texas. That's the interleague series that kind of threw you off a little bit on opening day, with Jimmy Rollins hitting the grand slam. And the Phillies have a 1-0 lead in Texas with Kyle Kendrick on the mound for the Phils. Shin-Soo Choo in left field for Texas. Phillies lineup is interesting. Ben Revere leading off. Carlos Ruiz is hitting second. With Utley, Howard, Bird, Brown, Mayberry. Liner down the right field line. And it's foul. It's called foul. McGee thinks it's fair. That's a reviewable play. But the Marlins don't have a challenge left. Now, Mike Redmond can go out and argue and suggest a challenge. McGee is arguing himself right now. The Marlins don't have a challenge, but it still, in the umpire's judgment, can be reviewed. Here's a look.
You know, you had to watch the reaction of Casey McGee, who hit the ball.
Ooh,
wow.
It looks just, from that look, first glance, it looked just foul. I don't see that that's definitive. And so McGee, with a count 2-2. Now, would the Marlins have challenged that? Have they had a challenge? Probably so.
Probably so, because you're down in a game by 5 and you have an opportunity to get something going. So absolutely.
Inside corner on a breaking ball. McGee's not a happy guy right now.
That's frustrating at bat for Casey McGee.
Saltalamacchia now. And he takes a strike. Well, obviously, that would have been a big play the Marlins' way. Jones probably would have scored from first. Saltalamacchia pops it foul and out of play.
I had talked with Salty in the spring about switch hitting. You know, people always think it's such an advantage, and to some degree it is. But it's also a lot harder to keep both swings together at the same time, because usually switch hitters are a little bit different from one side to the other.
Swing and a miss. And Jordan Lyles keeps on humming. 6-1 Rockies. Two bitter rivals step in to coach against each other in the UFC's next generation of fighters. They go head-to-head with a UFC contract on the line. All new series of The Ultimate Fighter, Team Edgar versus Team Penn. It begins April 16th, only on Fox Sports 1 and streaming live on Fox Sports Go. And apparently I was wrong. That is not Edgar Martinez. Though he would, I think, would have been successful in UFC.
Edgar was ripped, especially. I mean, he had the forearms.
He would have handled himself in the ring quite well. Or excuse me, the octagon, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Nolan Arenado. If you're just happening by, Kevin Slowey's on the mound because Henderson Alvarez's triumphant return to the mound where he pitched a no-hitter on the last day of 2013 wasn't so triumphant. And one pop foul and out of play. Arenado opened the fourth inning, and that was the big undoing by Alvarez. And for Alvarez, his line certainly isn't pretty. Lasted just 3 innings. But 6 of the runs he gave up, 3 of them were unearned. That's a foul ball. And it really fell apart in the fourth with an error by Echeverria, a throwing error by Dietrich. Marlins challenged the play at second.
Yeah, and if you go back to that initial error that started the whole thing, it's an error that just can't be made at this level. And I'm sure Perry Hill will talk to Etch about it. He had a lot of time, and sometimes that's a play that gives shortstops especially trouble. Third baseman, it happens to them too because they'll get that ball in a hurry and have a lot of time, and they don't really get their body set.
Saltalamacchia makes the catch, and Arenado out number 1. Marlins with a 2-0 start. Obviously the Rockies up right now, scanning baseball for other teams that have come out of the chute quickly. Detroit going to 2-0 with a 2-1 win over Kansas City in 10 innings.
Now in that game, he did not get the win, a no decision, but Max Scherzer, 8 innings, 8 shutout innings, gave up just 4 hits.
Slowly with a fastball. Jordan Pacheco is 2 for 2, getting the start in place of Willeen Rosario. You expect to see Rosario in there tomorrow. You might see Jeff Mathis catch for the Marlins tomorrow.
Yeah, I think there's a good chance. A day game. Left-hander on the mound for the Rockies, Franklin Morales. So, yeah, I think there's a good chance we'll see Jeff Mathis.
White Sox are 2-0. They beat the Twins in 11 today. Seattle is 2-0, and they've waxed the Angels in their first 2 games. They're playing game 3 tonight in Anaheim. Marlins will play both those teams this year in interleague. Seattle comes here in the second homestand, and the Marlins end up in Anaheim, I believe, in August.
It is.
Hit hard. Echeverria. That's going to be a tough one to get, and he doesn't get him. A terrific snag. You can see the ball trickle out of his glove. It's going to be a base hit, obviously.
Well, it's a terrific effort. If it doesn't trickle a little bit out of the glove, he may have a chance because it's very close as it is, but beaten out by Pacheco. Gets his 3rd hit. Great effort by Echeverria. A little bit short.
Now DJ LeMahieu. Hit hard. McGee. Dietrich. Jones. And a 5-4-3 double play. And Slowey is out of the 5th. Halfway through, big night for the Rockies. 6-1. Top of the Marlins, the Fox Sports Florida girls. See, they don't need selfies, Tommy, because everyone's taking pictures of them.
Everybody wants pictures with them.
Jordana and Anna Lee. Jordan Lyles is making the most out of his first start as a Colorado Rocky. He had certainly an uneven year last year, an ERA of over 5.5 and a 7-9 record in 25 starts with the Astros. But here, and as we noted early, he was not in the starting rotation when they broke camp. Tyler Chatwood with a hamstring injury. Lyles beaten out for that number 5 spot, inserted into the rotation. Ozuna pulls one in the hole and into left field. Marcell Ozuna opening up Miami's bottom of the 5th with a single. And Danny Echeverria and the pitcher spot is coming up. You got to love the Padres are coming, and it's a fireworks Friday. Not sure the chicken will be here, but his bobblehead will be. And it's the 4th at 7:10 on Friday. Group of 20 or more come to the ballpark for happy hour at the Clevelander with tickets starting at just $20. After the game, fireworks spectacular. Marlins.com, the place to go for tickets. So the Padres are here on Friday night, 3-game weekend series. I told you the Padres are at home tonight against the Dodgers.
Good matchup in that Saturday game. We've talked about Jose Fernandez pitching. So you want to be here for that one.
Little dribbler, and it takes a bounce into fair territory. A nice play by Arenado, who's as good a third baseman as there is in the game. And he got some help from Morneau, who picked a low throw.
Andrew Kastner pitching in that game for San Diego.
That's a great matchup, Kastner against Fernandez.
Arenado, and this tells the whole story. We talked about the Gold Glove. You just mentioned it. But also, we always love to talk to Marlins first base coach and infield instructor Perry Hill. Perry Hill rates that youngster right there, Nolan Arenado, as the best third baseman in the league.
Well, one difference with the Gold Glove voting last year is that finally they included advanced sabermetrics in terms of defense into the Gold Glove voting. They supplied all the coaches who vote and managers. They're the ones that traditionally vote on the Gold Glove. Supplied them with all the data, and that data as well made up 25% of the vote for the players. So the Fielding Bible, which has done such a great job of using that data for their award, now the Rawlings folks that give out the Gold Gloves use that data as well.
And Arenado, just 23 years old. There's a look, the first National League rookie to win a Gold Glove at third base. And you see his rankings in the categories, and he was right there. He's going to be there for a long time.
I said it the other night, Baseball Prospectus called it one of the best years a third baseman has ever had in the history of the game defensively. Yelich, a smash, and again a hard shot off the bat of Yelich, and an out snared by Tulowitzki. Through 5, 6-1 Rockies. Mike Redmond allowing Slowey to hit. He wants Slowey to stretch it out, suck up some innings, save the bullpen. The Marlins' first off day of the season is Monday, with the Padres coming in Friday and a day game tomorrow against the Rockies.
Yeah, in our conversation with Mike Redmond before the game and talking about the pitchers that have been used and had not been used so far this year, Slowey's name certainly came up. The other pitcher who has not thrown, and I'm sure we'll see him tonight, is Dan Jennings. But you don't want to start piecing together and using guys like an A.J. Ramos who's pitched in both games. Probably want to stay away from him in a game like this. Not going to use Cishek. So this allows Slowey to go a little bit deeper.
Well, Jordan Lyles is enjoying his night. He walked his last time up. He was the last hitter that Henderson Alvarez faced. All 6 runs in Alvarez's column, and Lyles called out on strikes. Let's check in with Craig Minervini. Craig?
Rich, thank you very much. Very special night here for Derek Dietrich tonight, not just because his family is here or it's his first start of the 2014 season, but he's playing against the guy he owes, he told me, much of his career to, and that's the guy at the plate right now, Charlie Blackmon. Go back to Dietrich in high school. He was drafted in the 3rd round, chose not to sign, wound up going very late to school, in fact a week late, to Georgia Tech, and he met a guy named Charlie Blackmon who had come over after his own issue, and Blackmon rips that hit. In fact, Dietrich told me Blackmon is the best athlete he's ever seen. Blackmon was a pitcher, junior college, got hurt, wound up coming over to Georgia Tech as a redshirt junior, turned into a hitter, and all he did was hit 400 in the ACC. But not only a hitter, he was the guy who tutored Dietrich. Derek told me how to do time management, get through your classes, and manage baseball. And it was a 1 year and then off. Blackmon went to professional baseball, but Dietrich said he's a guy I've relied on quite a bit. Last year, ironically, Dietrich was called up, met Blackmon in Colorado. They had dinner, but the next day, Dietrich was sent down to the minors and never got to play against Blackmon. So here he is now, playing against him. Guys?
That's a good story. Dietrich, shortstop at Georgia Tech. Blackmon had that awful shoulder injury. And some guys have to make an adjustment, and that's quite a one to make from pitcher to a major league player.
Now, the ultimate one of that nature was Rick Ankiel.
One of the last cuts of spring training for the Marlins was Brian Bogusevic. Bogusevic was a pitcher coming up and a great hitter, and then tried to do it as a hitter and has been able to get to the big leagues. Of course, Jeff Conine was a pitcher, and by Jeff's admission, not a great one at UCLA. But his pitching coach knew that he was such a terrific athlete, including racquetball. Guy Hansen was his pitching coach, and suggested to the Kansas City Royals that they make him like the 95th round pick or whatever Niner was.
However deep you could go,
I think
into the round.
It was like, all right, we'll take him that deep, and the rest is history. 2 World Series rings, All-Star MVP, great career. That one off the glove of Jones. Stanton picks it up. Blackmon racing to third, and he'll get there easily. And the Rockies have something going. Michael Kadire pushing that one into right. At the corners, Rockies looking for more.
Not treating his former teammate very nicely, Kevin Slowey. That ball just a couple of inches away from being a double play, though.
Carlos Gonzalez, and he fouls one back to the screen. Gonzalez called out on strikes against Slowey with runners on in the 4th.
It's always interesting, Rich, how stories like that take place at the major league level. It happens in the minor leagues as well. But remember the other night, the Rockies used a right-hander, Chad Bettis. Bettis out of Texas Tech, out of Lubbock, Texas. But we figured, okay, there's got to be a connection with A.J. Ramos. And A.J. told me that they were a year together at Texas Tech. And they know each other very well. They played against each other in the Lubbock, Texas area in high school.
Gonzalez, a big swing and a miss. And twice now, Slowey has struck out one of the better hitters in the game with 2 men on. Gonzalez going down twice.
A good pitch to hit, too. And fortunately for Kevin Slowey, he gets a really good hitter to just swing through it.
Now Tulowitzki. He walked against Slowey. 10 hits for the Rockies. They did their damage early against Henderson Alvarez. 6 hits, 3 runs in the first, 3 more runs chasing Alvarez in the fourth. The Marlins made a pair of errors in that fourth inning behind Alvarez. 0-2 to Tulowitzki.
Just thinking, Rich, I can remember a couple of guys who, in growing up in Southern California, I got to play with and against in leagues before we signed. Darrell Evans, who went on to have a real good career, and Raleigh Fingers, the other.
Time called. So at what level was this?
How
old were you?
Evans played a lot of high school games against him, and Raleigh Fingers, we played on a summer team together.
Did he have the mustache then?
No, he didn't.
That's where I was going. Because some guys, you play in your 13, 14, 15, the guys show up with a mustache. Here's the 0-2. Little tapper. And McGee on to first in time to get the out. Still 6-1. Still Rockies on top. Have a 6-1 lead. Tommy had big money on the Seahorse, apparently. Who are you calling in the first president's race when we get to Washington, D.C.?
Yeah, I'm going to go out on a limb and go with Jefferson. Thomas Jefferson.
I'll go Abe.
Now, they added Last year, who did they add? They had
Millard Fillmore.
Taft.
See, I think they should have special guest presidents for every series. Add William Henry Harrison. Add Millard Fillmore. How about Eisenhower? I'd love to see Ike with like a little green Army helmet on.
A little Army helmet, yeah.
Now the truck wants to see
John F. Kennedy in a PT boat.
James Polk.
See, now
we've opened up Pandora's box, and a flood of obscure presidents is coming through our headsets. William Henry Harrison,
shortest term, I think, as a president.
Dietrich swings and misses. It was interesting to hear Frank Menachino talk about his work with Derek Dietrich and how he took away the inner half of the plate and said, just worry in spring training about driving the ball middle and out. Ouch. You can hear it clip Dietrich. Dietrich is aboard for the second time tonight. He doubled back in the first.
Well, it's a good point, because when we saw Dietrich last year, we knew he had some power in the bat, the way he swung the bat. Dietrich, in his 57 games, hit 9 home runs, hit 11 home runs at Double-A before he joined the Marlins. But his average was .214. He probably pulled the ball way too much last year, so he's got the strength, and as Frank Menachino told us, he has the ability to pull that pitch. So don't worry about that one. Worry about that one away, and see a lot of balls driving into left center, into left field as he hit his double down that way.
Stanton hammered one to deep center. It was caught at the warning track back in the 4th inning. And Lyle starts him with a breaking ball.
Lyles has been pretty efficient, about 75 pitches to this point.
Stanton right field, a rocket, it's deep, gone! Wow, in a hurry. An opposite field lightning bolt. 6-3.
That's why you don't ever want to leave. He's keeping a real solemn face here, but he absolutely loved that. Frank Menachino to stay back. He knows that Stanton has that kind of power. There are a lot of guys that don't have that kind of opposite field power. That's why you don't want to leave when Stanton's coming to the plate.
He left
in a hurry,
and it didn't take long. That's one of those balls where you want to see what the exit speed was. How hard did it come off the bat?
But most guys, when they hit one hard with quick exit speed, it's a pitch they pull. Boy, this one, he stays back, just solid, uses that lower half.
Jones takes outside. So Giancarlo gets his first home run of the season. Jones takes a fastball up, and it's 3-0. And the Rockies bullpen is active right now in the 6th. Adam Ottavino, Marlins saw him earlier in this series. In fact, I saw him last night for an inning. A strike. And another.
You told me you had a great conversation with Giancarlo before the game about just his attitude, the way he feels about this season.
He had a big smile on his face. He said, it's fun. This is fun. And you got a sense that for just about everybody wearing a Marlins uniform the last 2 years, it wasn't a whole lot of fun, whether it was 2012 or last year. A team that won just 14 games the first 2 months.
When you think about it, too, there have been a lot of hitting coaches that Stanton has had to deal with. And so that's why you got to really be careful. And I love the approach that Frank Menachino has. John Maley, John Pearson, Tino Martinez, Eduardo Perez.
Walt Weiss thinking about making a change. And now it looks like he will as he climbs the stairs.
Not sure if the phones are working down there, because it looked like they were trying to hold a hat up and signal to the bullpen as if to ask, are you ready?
It's one of the reasons the Marlins moved their bullpen, was the difficulty in hearing the phone ring from all the frivolity in the Clevelander. Rockies bring in Ottavino, 6'3", Colorado. If his bullpen can deliver it. Giancarlo Stanton just blasted one to right, a 2-run homer, and a 6-3 game. And here is Adam Ottavino. The estimated distance of the Stanton home run, 418 feet. And we're working on that exit speed right now.
Well, just like that, after the hit batter and the 2-run shot, all of a sudden it's a 3-run game.
Here's Casey McGee, who was struck out twice tonight. McGee narrowly missing extra bases on a liner down the right field line that he reacted to as being fair, but the Marlins, out of challenges at the time, couldn't force a replay, and we're not yet into the 7th inning, so the Marlins still would be unable to challenge if they wanted a replay on a play. Ottavino. Now that's fair, and down the line it goes into the corner. Jones doesn't run well. He's on his way to third. He'll be held there, and McGee's got another double. Casey McGee has had a terrific start to this season. His 3rd double. This is game number 3.
Yeah, that's probably what went through his mind, too. That one's fair. He's 4 for 10 to start this season. The Marlins saw a little bit of Ottavino last night. Pitched the 7th inning and pitched it quite well at a couple of strikeouts. I like the way Brett Butler at third base brings the runners, whoever it might be, keeps them coming until he puts that stop sign on. A good job by Garrett Jones to pick him up right away, too.
All right, now you got the infield back, and the Marlins trying to cut into this lead Here is Saltalamacchia. And Ottavino misses in with a fastball. It's 1-0. And so Miami is set up here with a chance to get a little closer. And it's still only bottom of the 6th inning.
Boy, this is that situation, Rich, that we see quite often. Infield back, nobody out. So with runners at second and third, a ground ball to the right side would make it a 6-4 game, and it would also move McGee over to third base with just one out at the time.
One and two. Yeah, you're right. I mean, a ground ball here. I mean, obviously, Saltalamacchia with that swing wasn't thinking ground ball. That's a foul tip that I believe hit the umpire, Mike DeMuro. Well, the Rockies have made a change in the outfield with Drew Stubbs coming into the ball game in center and Charlie Blackmon going to left.
Not sure if that occurred at the time of the pitching change for the double switch. Not too often does Walt Weiss take Carlos Gonzalez out of the game either.
Yeah, I don't know that he would. The lineup up on the board indicates it was a straight up change. And Stubbs is in Gonzalez's spot. Saltalamacchia just trying to stay alive. There's the board. You can see the lineups. And so Stubbs is in the 3 spot and Ottavino is in the 9 spot. We'll try to get any word if there's any type of injury that brought Carlos Gonzalez out of the game.
That's a good shot, by the way, for fans who come out to a game and want to get a little more information. Just check on that big scoreboard out there. You can't miss it. A lot of stuff.
This is a big at bat here. The Marlins trying to move this inning along, trying to get a run across. And a swing and a miss. Saltalamacchia, big swing. And Ottavino gets a strikeout. Marcell Ozuna comes up.
Well, it's a big out for the Rockies, especially to get the strikeout. And he gets Saltalamacchia to chase a high fastball. A little bit out of the zone, but you know what? Man on second and third, it's also a little too close to take.
Marlins have 2 runs across and 2 runners on. And are within 3. Ozuna, the infield is still back. And Ottavino bends one in there for a strike. Jones and McGee. Jones walked, McGee doubled. And Ozuna's behind in the count 0-2.
Had a good pitch to hit. Ottavino came back with the same breaking ball and hung it a little bit, got it up.
There's Chad Bettis. He's ready in the Rockies bullpen, and obviously Ottavino's thinking strikeout. Infield still back, so a ground ball would produce at least a run. And he got him with a breaking ball. He was way out in front. And the Marlins unable to put the ball in play with less than 2 outs. Now need a 2-out hit.
And now all the pressure goes on Edson Faria because a ground ball isn't going to do anything. Ground ball is an infielder. And that's why it's so important just to, in those situations of Saltalamacchia and Ozuna, just contact. Contact will do a lot of things. But on the other hand, you give credit to Ottavino, who made some good pitches, especially to Ozuna.
Echeverria tonight, a pair of ground balls to the left side. That may be one of the best defensive left sides in a long time in this game, with Arenado at third and Tulowitzki at short. I know Tulowitzki's range wasn't what it was when he got to the big leagues,
but has a tremendous arm.
And Arenado is a highlight film waiting to happen every night. Ball and a strike. Kevin Slowey is on deck, but without batting gloves. And he's merely a decoy. You can see Greg Dobbs has a bat and is ready. Echeverria with 2 outs, runners second and third.
Well, a couple of reasons Slowey's there. Number one, you have to have somebody in the on-deck circle. Number two, if Echeverria were to get a hit, he needs to get up there and maybe help a runner at the plate as to what to do.
Ottavino, 2 big strikeouts, 1-2 pitch. And it's out. Sliding out is Pacheco to keep it from getting to the screen. Two-two pitch. That's out and it gets away. Here comes Jones and he scores. That's a big run for Miami. Second and third, nobody out. A pair of strikeouts and 2 strikes on Echeverria. And they get a run across on a ball to the screen.
Well, it's going to be ruled, and it is ruled, a wild pitch, but that was certainly catchable. And Jones able to score. It's a 2-run game. Yeah, that ball was catchable.
That was. They may change that. Although it was a ways out of the strike zone and he reached for it. It went under his glove. Counts 2-2. You got McGee at third. Actually a 3-2 count. And Ottavino strikes out Saltalamacchia, Ozuna, and Echeverria. But the Marlins pick up 3. 1 on that wild pitch and 2 on Giancarlo's first of the year. two-run homer. Marlins have climbed within 2 as we arrive in the 7th inning. Marlins and Padres, first Saturday spectacular this season. What a great pitching matchup as well. You got Jose Fernandez and Andrew Kashner on a Saturday night. You can get all you can eat seats for just $27 that night. After the game, head to the East Plaza for a party at the Clevelander with DJ Laz. For tickets, go to marlins.com. Before the game on Saturday night is Beer Fest at the Clevelander. And Tommy will be mixing with DJ Laz after the ball game.
Going after some of the IPAs.
Reminds me, I have an appointment with my CPA.
That's right, that's coming up.
That's right. Justin Morneau pulls one. Jones down, has it, flipped. Slowey is there. Well, the Marlins were down 6-1, and the Rockies had a chance to really blow them out. But Slowey restored order. Stanton's home run sparked the ball club to life. They're within 2 now. Still awaiting word as to any injury or any reason that Carlos Gonzalez came out of the ball game.
Yeah, Kevin Slowey has done his job working in his 4th inning, closing in on 50 pitches. And that's what you ask of a long man in the bullpen. A guy like a Kevin Slowey or a Brad Hand.
Well, the long man's value won't be measured necessarily tonight. It will be measured tomorrow, 12:40 start, or Friday, on the arms that he keeps fresh, and if those arms are needed in a ball game that you can win. Slowly throwing free and easy, 90 on the outside black. Matt Belisle, Colorado's bullpen. Remember, the Rockies have a new closer. He's actually an old closer. LaTroy Hawkins is 41.
Tell you, my homework assignment between innings is to race over and ask our good friends Drew Goodman and George Frazier on the TV side for the Rockies if they know anything about cargo.
That's not a real ambitious homework assignment. I mean,
I'm making it easy on myself.
You could just bang on the window.
Well, Troy Hawkins, he probably doesn't even and has never heard of Tommy John. With his arm, the way he keeps pitching, I'm sure he's heard of Tommy John.
I think he knows enough about it, Tommy John, to want to stay away from surgery. Last year, the Marlins had the throwback game in Milwaukee, and the Marlin uniforms were terrific and fun, and they were of the late 1950s Miami Marlins, and of course that's the team that Satchel Paige pitched on, and that's kind of the guy that I think of when I watch LaTroy Hawkins pitch. Kind of free and easy. And Kevin Slowey finishes off the Rockies in 1-2-3 fashion. 7th inning stretch in Miami. 2-run game. Rockies up. Rockies are on top. A messy game for the Marlins. You see the 2 errors in a 3-run 4th inning for the Rockies. And that's the difference in the ballgame right now. Matt Belisle, second out of the bullpen for Colorado. And he'll face the 9 spot and then top of the order. It looks like Donovan Solano will get the pinch hit at bat to begin. And then Christian Yelich, Derek Dietrich, and if anything happens, Giancarlo Stanton, who's hit 2 balls extremely hard and extremely far. 1 to the wall in center for an out, and 1 off the facing of the back of the bullpen, 418 feet for a home run in right field, an opposite field shot.
Well, he's going to zone in on Matt Belisle to just check him out. Belisle's been around for a while. He's 33, going to be 34 this year. Been with the Rockies the last 5 or 6 years. Uses that cutter, change up with some sink to it.
So here is Solano. He had a pinch hit at bat the other night, and that breaking ball misses in. Solano took to Brett Butler's bunting tutorial quite well in the spring. Although that one is popped back out of play.
So a couple of guys, Echeverria did too.
And Arenado right now, the Rockies' third baseman, is about 15 feet behind the bag at third, almost daring Solano to bunt. He moves in a little bit as the pitch comes in. Solano up the middle, LeMahieu around it, and throws on the run and throws nicely to first base. LeMahieu can really play. He's a real nice complement to Tulowitzki in the middle of that Rockies infield.
Yeah, and you add him into the mix, it's a solid infield for the Rockies. And we've talked about the difference in the grass at Coors Field. Much slower, it's a little thicker, so you're going to get to more balls, much more so than here. But these guys cover a lot of ground.
You know, Yelich tonight is 0 for 3, but he's hit the ball hard and he's hit it up the middle. He's lined to short, bounced to second, bounced to short.
You know, he's had that kind of game, and he had that kind of game last night. I kind of look back at last night's game for Yelich, and a couple of balls he hit toward short. He had a good approach against a left-hander. He stayed back. He went that way, hit the ball well, and, you know, sometimes you just don't have anything to show for it.
The one thing as a hitting coach and as a hitter that you really have to fight is the result and not the process.
Yeah, he lined out to third base one time last night.
The process and the swing is fine right now. The results just aren't there. Smacks that one in the gap left center, over for it. And there is Charlie Blackmon. All right, you went on your homework assignment next door. Did you get any pertinent information onto the exit of Carlos Gonzalez?
Well, the very well-spoken Rockies announcers, Drew Goodman and George Frazier, they are like us. They don't like to speculate. So they said they had not heard anything. They said that Gonzalez has had a finger issue, perhaps on a swing, but they had not heard anything officially.
Wow.
But now we are getting...
and this is not speculation.
No, we're getting an officials.
And this is coming from the...
This is coming from the Rockies. Dizziness. So a little dizziness for Carlos Gonzalez.
Dietrich fouls one back. Dietrich doubled back in the first. Hit by a pitch in the 6th inning. Carlos Marmol and Dan Jennings in the bullpen. Slow breaking ball and strike 3. Belisle gets Derek Dietrich. And 7 innings have passed in Miami with the Rockies up 2. Summary, there it is.
Well, there's a look. The 3 runs in the first by the Rockies were all earned. They had 6 hits. It was not a good night for Henderson Alvarez. A lot of pitches were up. In the 4th inning, their 3 runs were all unearned. It was a very sloppy inning for the Marlins. They made a couple of errors in that inning. Giancarlo, boy, a blast. Opposite field shot. Got out of here in a hurry. 418 feet. And now the ball is turned over to Dan Jennings. And his assignment is to keep things the way the bullpen has thrown so far. So far this year, in the 10 innings that the bullpen has thrown, they've given up just 7 hits and no runs. And they've put together 8 strikeouts. So it's been a good start for Mike Redmond's bullpen.
4 scoreless innings from Slowey. Henderson Alvarez went 3, 6 runs, and 3 of those runs unearned. So dizziness knocks Carlos Gonzalez out of the ball game. DJ LeMahieu, pitcher's spot, and then Charlie Blackmon for the Rockies. One of our favorite stops in the National League is Denver, Colorado. Terrific ballpark, great downtown,
The Lodo District.
Brandon Barnes into center field, and a base hit. So LeMahieu has a hit. Toyota trend tonight, finally crafted by the crack staff. Youngest pitching staffs. The Marlins, not only the youngest staff, but the youngest starting rotation as well. With Jacob Turner set to start tomorrow afternoon, Tom Kohler on Friday night.
Yeah, Jacob Turner, just 22.
Barnes bunts. Jennings has it. Bare hands, throws, and Jones had to pick it out of almost off the runner's shoulder.
It's always a tough play for a first baseman. Now I believe it was Dan Jennings yelling, I got it, I got it. So good communication. Call for it, bare hand, and fired it inside the line, but a nice job by Jones to stay with it. But the job done by Barnes, moving the runner to second base.
Charlie Blackmon now has been busy tonight, 2 for 3 with an RBI, walked with the bases loaded in the 4th. You think about that messy 4th inning and the 2 errors by the middle infielders of Miami. Echeverria going to go to third, and a lot of time. There's the tag and the out applied. Blackmon got caught on a hard hit ball, and the Marlins choked that run off at third base.
Heads up play by Echeverria. As soon as that ball's on its way to him, he realizes he's going to have a play at third base. He picked it cleanly, made a good throw on to Casey McGee.
Here now is Kadire, who's had a nice series himself. 4 hits and 11 at bats, including a double. He scored a run. He has a sac fly in this ball game and a single.
When you look at the year Dan Jennings had last year, the area of improvement for him this year would be to have a little better success against left-handed batters. Lefties actually hit 50, 60 points better off DJ than righties, but overall he had about a strikeout an inning and gives Mike Redmond one of 3 left-handers in his bullpen.
Remember, Blackmon has terrific speed. Jennings trying to keep him close. 6'4" Colorado, 11 hits for the Rockies. Rex Brothers in the bullpen. Marlins saw brothers last night.
Many times, and you pointed it out a lot last year. We've seen it already this year. When you see that catcher looking in the dugout, it's to see if the dugout wants the pitcher to throw over to first base.
Up the middle into center field, and a 2-out hit for Kadire, who just keeps swinging the bat well. The batting champ off to a good start. And that'll bring Stubbs up for his first at bat. If you just joined us, Stubbs came into the ball game when Carlos Gonzalez, who had doubled in 3 at-bats, left with what was reported later as dizziness. Breaking ball. The Marlins don't have, of their lefties in the bullpen, they don't have a real lefty specialist. The guy that is a, what is it, the term that's used now, loogie?
Yeah. I tend to think that as another definition. But yeah, they don't have like a, well, Rex Brothers a good example. He's tough on lefties.
Lefty, only one guy.
Randy Choate, another one.
Is there such thing as a Roogie? A righty, only one guy?
Javier Lopez, San Francisco. Quality lefty guy.
The base hit by Kadire has runners at first and second with 2 outs. 0-2 pitch coming. And the ball in the dirt. Stubbs, as we've talked about, a guy that throughout his career has been prone to the strikeout. He punched out twice last night in an 0-for-4 ball game.
I'll tell you another terrific lefty out of the bullpen who's only in his second year now with the Cardinals, Kevin Segrist. He had a tremendous year last year for St. Louis.
There are some lefties that, I mean, Jennings is good against righties. He's got that good changeup. And then some lefties who are, you know, funky enough and tough enough with their delivery to pick up that they can get lefties and righties out. I'm thinking of a Miami kid now pitching for the Los Angeles Dodgers. Is it Paco Rodriguez?
Paco out of Florida, University of Florida.
2-2 coming. Slow tapper. Stubbs can really run. McGee's got to hurry. He does, and gets the out. Giancarlo Stanton coming up. 2-run homer last time up, and the Marlins are down by 2. The bats have provided 2 hard hit balls. One left the yard, one didn't. A 2-run homer his last time up. Marlins were down 6-1. And just a laser beam out to right field. He had hit a shot to the warning track and straightaway center his previous at bat. And here he is in the 8th, leading off against Rex Brothers.
Well, you have a left-hander out there. Brothers is the only left-hander in the bullpen for Walt Weiss and his Rockies. We saw Brothers last night. He had a 1-2-3 8th inning. Saw that herky-jerky delivery that he has. Good slider.
Garrett Jones and Casey McGee will follow. Outfield deep, infield deep, especially at third. Arenado. And Brothers misses outside. It's 1-0.
Years ago, you'd play the outfield with a guy like Stanton's power, and they'd just say, play deep and cut across.
Don't you think, though, in a ballpark like this, or even Coors Field, outfielders play too deep at times?
Well, and we talk about that a lot at Coors Field. There are a lot of base hits that drop in front of the outfielders.
I mean, I know we want to play no doubles defense, but at some point. Well, he's missed out and he's missed in on his last 2 pitches. He's run the count to 3-0. And there is Jones. The man to the left of Jones there, the gray hair, Giancarlo's father, who's here from Southern California. His father and his aunt.
Yeah, it's always good to see Giancarlo's dad. And wherever he is, you saw the earplugs. He listens to the radio, whatever local. He'd be listening right now to Dave Van Horn and Glenn Geffner. And that's a Los Angeles thing, because out at Dodger Stadium, they're listening to Vin Scully.
That's because they can't watch the Dodgers right now, Tommy.
They're having cable issues.
Yes, they are. Garrett Jones takes outside. Now, this is a guy that you would expect Brothers to really go after, because Jones traditionally doesn't hit lefties well, and Brothers, their only lefty.
Yeah, it's interesting because Brothers really didn't look like he wanted to throw Stanton a strike, but he comes in out of the bullpen, and a lot of times the reliever has to get into the flow, get into a rhythm.
Jones knew he was going to get a fastball.
Yeah, that's the first strike he's thrown.
He went after it and fouled it off. And that may be the best pitch he gets in the at-bat. Breaking ball didn't come far enough for home plate umpire Mike DeMuro. Casey McGee is on deck.
That was close, though. Could have been a strike.
Should have been a strike. It's not only close, it's on there. Jones goes down and drives it to center. Stubbs is around it, makes the catch. And there's one out. Here comes McGee. Stands still at first. McGee has doubled and struck out twice. 3 doubles already in 3 games. 4 for 10 with 5 RBIs.
Yeah, Casey McGee's hit in all 3 games so far this year.
Saltalamacchia, the switch hitter. Went after the 2-0 pitch. Steve Cishek, Marlins bullpen. Rockies scored early and often, and a 6-1 lead. Miami cut into it with 3 in the bottom of the 6th, including that 2-run homer by Stanton. And here trying to work their way back as they get deeper into the bullpen. Three-1 is out, and now the Marlins have the tying runs aboard. Saltalamacchia coming up. Walt Weiss doesn't like what he sees here. Jim Wright, pitching coach for the Rockies. One of the guys that still is associated with the Rockies pitchers in a very big way is Mark Wiley, former Marlins pitching coach, well respected in the game. Of course, a longtime pitching coach for Mike Hargrove in Cleveland, a Marlin pitching coach. Director of pitching operations, his 2nd season.
Always good to see Wiles. We've had a chance to talk to him. He's been in town. Nationals trying to close out that game in New York against the Mets. Nats have a 4-1 lead in the 9th inning. And the Marlins trying to make it real exciting here. I really think it goes back to brothers coming into the game and not getting in a strike-throwing rhythm, facing Stanton and walking him on 4 pitches.
Jones flied out. McGee walks. Saltalamacchia now. You heard Saltalamacchia. It sounded like he said that's down. Our Fox Tracks misfired on that pitch. So
Fox Tracks is down right now, I think.
Maybe that's what he was talking about. Here's the 0-1. It's out. There's no one throwing in the Rockies bullpen, and for a guy that is having trouble finding the plate in a 2-run ball game in the 8th, it's a bit of an odd sight. Marcell Ozuna is on deck. In the air, right field. Kadire in and makes the catch. And so Brothers gets Jones and Saltalamacchia, and now here comes Ozuna, who is 1 for 3, a single and 2 strikeouts.
If the Rockies go on and win this game, the Marlins will look back to the 6th inning, and they'll look at this inning if nothing materializes because they had opportunities.
Shea Stadium type feel and sound with the jet taking off from Miami International above Marlins Park. That first pitch right on the black, and that one's out even further in. You got Echeverria. Marlins have some right-handed bats Available as pinch hitters: Reed Johnson, Jeff Baker, and much further down the list is Jeff Mathis, the backup catcher. Two and one.
And the choices become a little easier for Mike Redmond, given the fact that there are nobody else warming up in the bullpen.
Yeah, if you bring Baker in to hit for Echeverria, or even in the pitcher spot, you know he's going to face the lefty. That's a strike, and Ozuna didn't like it. Pitch 4, same spot as pitch 1.
Been kind of an inconsistent night for Mike DeMuro.
Both 1 and 4 called strikes. Both 1 and 4 seem to be right on that black. Let's see if he tries to bust him in. In the dirt, wildly swinging, and down goes Ozuna, and the Marlins waste a pair of walks here in the 8th. For the 8th, Marlins waste an opportunity. Out to center field will head after the ball game. Marlins Live, brought to you by Checkers. Henderson Alvarez wild ride. It did not have a happy ending. That's a sloppy 4th was the end of it. Giancarlo with those 2 at bats. One that came up just short of leaving the yard, and the other one that definitely left the yard. Jeff Conine will break down those 2 swings. Dan Jennings still in there.
I think the difference, one of them was on the sweet spot, one of them wasn't.
And the one that wasn't on the sweet spot, he actually hit to center field, probably about 400, 405 feet from home plate. The one to right on the sweet spot was estimated at 418. Jennings has to navigate through Tulowitzki, Morneau, and Arenado. Second inning for Jennings. Marlins bullpen tonight, lots of Kevin Slowey, 4 innings worth, all scoreless. And then an inning of Dan Jennings. There he is, the Troy Hawkins. Had a really nice year last year with the Mets.
You talked about LaTroy Hawkins similarities, those old photos of Satchel Paige. And then when you and I had the opportunity with others
to go to the Negro League Hall of Fame Museum in Kansas City. That was a treat. But I wonder if LaTroy has the B-ball, which is what Davey Johnson asked Satchel Paige one time. What's your best pitch?
And you know what? That's funny because we, I believe on the same trip, ended up in Washington. And you immediately went to Davey Johnson and asked him about that meeting, because we heard the story when we were, Bob Kendrick gave us that great tour in Kansas City. We heard the story about the B-ball and Davey Johnson.
Yeah, and Davey confirmed it. He said, yeah, he said, I asked Satchel Paige, what's your best pitch? And he said, the B-ball. And Davey said, the B-ball? He said, yeah, it B's where I wants it to be.
And when he wants it to be there. Yeah, Paige was a Miami Marlin back in the late 50s. Last year on the throwback day up in Milwaukee, we not only had the great shots of the Marlin replica uniforms, but we also had that vintage footage from, I don't know if it was either a telecast or a newscast, about circa what, opening day in Miami, was it 1956? That one's popped out behind second base. That's a clip that we need to store in the 10-run reel, because it's just classic. It's
classic stuff.
I forget the name of the reporter, but he was out in front of the old ballpark.
Had the old wool suit on with the hat.
Oh, yeah.
Dan Jennings trying to continue the nice stretch the bullpen has going so far in the first 3 games here.
Gets Tulowitzki and Morneau. Dietrich on to first. So 2 quick outs here in the 9th inning. We want you to tweet your best fan photos using the hashtag Marlins fan photo for a chance to have your photo shown in an upcoming broadcast. Brought to you by AT&T. Here's Nolan Arenado. Arenado is 1 for 4. Rockies have a dozen hits to go with their 6 runs. Miami, as that guy back in 1956 called it, has 4 runs on 6 hits, 3 errors for the Fish.
Well, again, it'll be one of those games, if this score holds true, that the Marlins can look back on some sloppy play, and they can look back on a couple of innings when they had base runners and had some opportunities.
Oh, 2 coming to Arenado. Ouch. That big burly guy tried to make a catch, and it didn't quite work out.
Stretch it out. I had it right there.
Maybe some ice tonight when you get home. Two balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs. The Rockies have led this ball game from the very start when they got 3 runs in the blink of an eye on 6 quick hits against Henderson Alvarez, and they were quick. As fast as Alvarez could throw, and the Rockies banged him into the outfield. High pop-up, Echeverria behind McGee. And McGee is going to make the catch. Marlins are down to their last 3 outs. Down a couple in Miami. Marlins. It's the bottom of the ninth inning. It's never too late to download the MLB.com at the ballpark mobile app for great features throughout the year. You can check in through the app to earn free tickets. Download the free MLB.com at the ballpark app today. Down to this now in the bottom of the ninth inning. The Rockies looking for their first win of the year, and they bring on the ancient right-hander, LaTroy Hawkins.
Troy Hawkins, 41 in his 19th Major League season. You got to go back to 2004 when he was with the Cubs. He put together 25 saves. He had 28 saves with the Twins in 01. But other than that, he's started games. He's worked late in games as a long reliever. Right now, he features mostly fastballs and kind of a slider cutter. It's kind of in between. But look at all the games. He's going to have, if he stays healthy, he'll go over 1,000 career games this year.
19th year. Actually, his 20th year in the big leagues, as he makes his first appearance in 2014. Echeverria's up first. Hawkins fires a fastball, and Echeverria shoots it foul. Last year with the Mets, 72 appearances. That's the most appearances that Hawkins had made in the big leagues since 2004.
Wow. He was drafted by the Twins, 1991.
And was a starter for the Twins. So he was drafted the year the Twins last won the World Series, right? Ooh.
Wow, look out over there.
It sounded like it hit the padding on the rail. Hey, there's a name that's familiar.
Blake Doyle, first-year hitting coach. Brother Denny Doyle, longtime major leaguer. And a great youth facility. The Doyle Baseball Academy over in Central Florida. Been around for a long time. And Blake Doyle, as a 13, 14-year-old, when he was one of the instructors there, Walt Weiss, as a 14-year-old, used to come to the academy.
And Weiss showed up as a pitcher, as the story goes.
Yeah, but they saw him field ground balls, and they said, no, you're not a pitcher. You're an infielder.
Echeverria, 0-2. Reaches out, lines it right center field, and it gets in. Cutting it off is Kadire, and Echeverria puts the brakes on and heads back to first base. Nice play by Kadire to cut it off. Marlins have their leadoff runner aboard. And now they got Greg Dobbs coming up to face Hawkins.
Well, one of your goals this inning is to try to get a little something going and get Giancarlo Stanton to the plate. Dobbs had a pinch hit on opening night. It was career pinch hit number 96.
And so Dobbs digs in. And Echeverria, the runner at first. Hawkins, it's in the air, and it's out of play.
We've seen Dobbs over the last few years, and you come to realize he has such a good game plan when he goes to the plate. Generally, when you see him go after that first pitch, his game plan tells him that he's going to see that first pitch fastball, which he did. He just fouled it off.
And Dobbs a better hitter when he hits the ball in the air. He's one of those guys that looks to hit the ball in the air. And he's not a guy, the amazing thing about that is he's not a guy that pops out a lot.
His theory, if he gets it in the air, he's not going to be out in front and roll over. When he rolls over on a pitch, he's not happy with his swing or his at bat.
That hole is open on the right side. Dobbs pops that one foul and back and out of play. It's 1-2. 6-4 Rockies, game 3 of a 4-game series. Remember, tomorrow we're on the air at noon with the Marlins Live. Hope you had a chance to catch Marlins Live tonight. Terrific look at Henderson Alvarez and the no-hitter. Tomorrow, a feature and an extended look at replay. Dobbs fouls it back. Sit-down interview with Jared Saltalamacchia. Probably a Jeff Mathis day tomorrow against a lefty. Rockies going with Franklin Morales, Jacob Turner for the Fish. Rockies are then home against Arizona. Of course, the Marlins home with San Diego coming in here to finish off the homestand. Dobbs waits. And a swing and a miss. Hawkins came down and in and got him.
That looked like that hard cutter that Hawkins, after a couple of pitches out over the plate, that were a little more hittable. This is a tough one to stay off of. Cutter, slider, call it what you will, but it has similar action, and it's successful against Greg Dobbs.
So the Marlins, in terms of lefty-righty matchups, have got Yelich and Dietrich lined up. They'd love to get Stanton to the plate. Echeverria's at first. And so someone needs to get on to ensure, or at least move the line towards Stanton's favor.
Well, Rockies pitchers have struck out 11. So the Marlins have struck out 11 times tonight.
Hawkins last year as a Met actually was better against left-handed batters than against righties, and Yelich shoots it foul.
I think that cutter was a big part of that.
Yeah, last year right-handed hitters hit 275, lefties hit 248.
If you look over the long Hall of Fame career of Mariano Rivera's, always had success against lefties with that cutter. He broke more bats than anybody.
There's Dietrich. Yelich with the count 1-2. Miami down 6-4 here. One-two coming. And Yelich staying alive, shooting it foul. You certainly have power on deck with Dietrich, and then obviously with Stanton after him.
We see those close-up shots of Christian Yelich, who's 22. He looks like he's 16.
There's the cutter.
That's a good take.
And it just came in under the hands.
Yeah, that's a tough pitch for a left-hander to lay off of.
But it's in. You look at the Fox tracks.
Similar pitch he struck Greg Dobbs out on.
You see the colored fingernails. We talked about that last night. Little orange look from Jordan Pacheco. 2-2. In the dirt, scoots away. Echeverria to second, and obviously that eliminates a shot at a double play, which could end the game. And you want to obviously extend it and give Dietrich and Stanton a chance to run into one.
Wild pitch. Rockies staff has uncorked a couple of wild pitches tonight.
Stanton waiting and hoping, and Mike Redmond is right next to him hoping the same thing. Count's full now, 3-2. Let's see if Hawkins tries to cut that back under the hands of Yelich. Oh, he stayed with a four-seamer and was fouled off.
Yeah, it's a good battle. That might have been away, might have been ball 4, but again, too close. And it was. But you know what? You get up there, you get in that mode, you just kind of stay alive. And that's what Yelich did on that.
He's doing a fine job of that, staying alive. Count still full. Hawkins, 16 pitches into this 9th inning, trying to nail down the save for the Rockies. That was straight down the middle. So pitch number 9 is coming.
And they've been a little bit of everywhere. Been away. He's come in a few times. The outfield has really shifted over too to the opposite field.
Off-speed pitch, and Yelich fortunate that that one is popped out of play.
That's great. I mean, that was a good pitch. After seeing all the hard stuff, all of a sudden he changed speeds on it.
The major league average is just under 4 pitches an at bat, and Yelich in his rookie season, first taste of the big leagues at 21, over that. There's the defense Tommy talked about. The outfield shifted. 10th pitch of the at bat to Yelich. Echeverria's at second. Miami is down by 2 and down to their last 2 outs in the 9th. Yelich just keeps fighting pitch off after pitch.
I'll tell you what, if LaTroy Hawkins didn't know who Christian Yelich was when he stepped in to hit, he's gotten a chance to meet him a little bit during this AB.
I'm not sure that you can clear Fox tracks because it's in another few more pitches will be tough to distinguish where anything was, because Hawkins has thrown pitches all over the place and Yelich has been able to stay alive. 11th pitch. Ground ball up the middle. LeMahieu to first in the dirt. Morneau has scooped out a few more. Time is called. And so Dietrich now with 2 outs certainly has the power to ride one out of here, but as well he's shown in his minor league career he's a good on-base guy. He's been on base twice, hit by a pitch, doubled, and you've got Giancarlo Stanton waiting on deck.
Yeah, Dietrich in that minor league career on base percentage right around 350.
One of the strengths for Miami the first 2 nights was situational hitting with runners in scoring position. 10 for 19. Tonight 1 for 10 with runners in scoring position. And Dietrich is up. Hawkins from the stretch. Rides that fastball in, and it's 1-0. Stanton waiting. 2 outs. 9th inning. Echeverria at third. Miami down by 2. Dietrich in. 2-0. Dietrich is a young hitter. And you got Stanton on deck. But there's a pretty good chance he's going to get one straight and down the middle.
I say if he gets a good pitch, he can swing because he has the ability to tie it.
Let it fly. That was the saying that his grandfather, who got to the big leagues and hit a ton of home runs in the minor leagues, always used to tell young Derek when he took him around in the minor leagues. And it's what Derek has tattooed on his wrist. Let it fly. Here's the 2-1. Wow, right down the middle. 2-2.
Now the 2-0 pitch he may have been taking either on his own or given the sign to take. Not sure what he was thinking on that next one, because the next one was a good, really good pitch to hit.
Remember, against Yelich, Hawkins mixed in a changeup and threw some cutters as well. 2-2. It's out. But I don't know that Hawkins really wants to mess around with Stanton on deck.
Looked like he tried that changeup again.
I would really be surprised if he threw it here.
If he throws it anything other than a fastball, I'd be just as surprised as you. Let's see.
Stanton's on deck, 2 outs, 9th inning.
Fastball, here it comes.
Down low, Dietrich walks. Here comes Stanton. Mission accomplished in that the Marlins have brought Stanton to the plate with 2 outs in the 9th inning. 2 runners aboard. Down by 2. Outfield is very, very deep. Stanton is 1 for 3. He struck out. He hit a ball 400 feet for an out to center. Homered to right and walked. He has been on it all night. Fastball in. Hawkins hesitating. Mike DeMuro calling ball 1. Dietrich has good speed at first base. So a ball in the gap, even though they're playing no doubles right now, could still tie it because the gaps are huge here. Stanton takes up and in. His father, his aunt, in from Southern California. Jose on the rail.
Where he always is.
And let's see if he gets something good here. 2-0. It's fastball. And it's in. And it's down. And it's 3-0.
Well, you know he's going to have the green light. The other thing, you've got power on deck in left-handed batter Garrett Jones.
Hawkins' first opportunity to save a ball game for the Rockies. Another fastball coming. It's a strike. Pacheco had to reach for it. 3-1. Just his 5th at bat against the veteran. Tying runs at first. 2 outs in the 9th. 3-1 pitch. Stand to drive. Deep, but curling. And foul.
That'll get you out of your seat.
Plenty deep. Now it's 3-2. Now what does Hawkins do?
Probably is thinking about trying not to throw that same pitch he just threw.
Pacheco.
It's not going to be. It's going to be the slider cutter. It's going to have movement to it.
Hawkins just stepped off. Pacheco called for the change.
Yep, now he wants the fastball.
Full count. Dietrich running from first. 3-2. Fouled at the plate. He got it in where he wanted it.
That's where they've been trying to pitch him, and I think that'll be the pattern that we'll see, and that'll be the adjustment that Stanton will have to make as he goes through the season. Hawkins has thrown 32 pitches in this inning.
Down by 2. Tying run at first, and Dietrich gets a head start on a 3-2 pitch. Giancarlo Stanton is homered tonight. Another 3-2. Stanton, a rifle shot into left field, a base hit. Echeverria scores. He hit it so hard that Dietrich had to stop at second. And Miami is within a run, and here comes Garrett Jones.
Giancarlo Stanton with 6 RBIs already on the season, has 3 tonight, and has driven in at least 1 run in each of the first 3 games. Middle of the plate, boy, did he have a nice at bat. I'll tell you what, all 3 at bats from Yelich to Dietrich to Stanton, even though Yelich's did not result in a base hit or reaching base, have all been terrific at bats against a veteran pitcher such as LaTroy Hawkins.
Walt Weiss, the skipper of the Rockies, out to talk to Hawkins. His infield is there as well. Garrett Jones is waiting at the plate. Jones has 2 hits tonight in 3 trips. And of course, Jones, his power comes against right-handers. He had just 21 at-bats against lefties last year and just a couple of hits, 15 home runs on the season. He's a couple seasons removed from that 2012 year where he had 27 homers and 86 driven in. So you got Dietrich at second with good speed, and Stanton runs well. He's the winning run at first. And Jones digs in. Hawkins ready. 34th pitch. And he might not see a better one than that.
Sometimes you see that pitch and it's so good you just can't pull the trigger.
The last at bat, Hawkins had the cutter on the shelf, but now with the lefty up, that cutter is back in play. Up. Dietrich, the tying run at second. Stanton, the winner at first. 1-1. Popped him up, and it looks like it's playable. Arenado, the Gold Glover, is under it, and he makes the catch, and Hawkins survives a 35-pitch save in the 9th inning. And the Marlins make it interesting, but fall a run short in Miami tonight. Jones pops out. Hawkins wobbles to the save. And the Rockies get their first game of this series. 6-5 the final. We'll wrap it after this.